Apparently, a person's name actually influences who you grow up to become. Like, if your name's Dennis, you're slightly more likely to become a dentist. It's true. You're attracted to things that sound like your name. And like Larry's are more likely to be lawyers. I thought about it. My name's Joe, one letter away from joke. I was like, oh my goodness. And the more you look for it in the world, the more you see it. Bernie Madoff, don't give that guy your money. Last name's Madoff. I looked up the guy who started Craigslist. First name's Craig. That's spooky. Wow. What are the odds? Andre the Giant was 7 feet tall. Yeah, last name was the Giant.
TBTL.
Ask your question?
Well, possibly. What the hell am I doing here? Is that the question? What was the question, sir?
The man or beast that I run from ain't been born, and its mama's already dead.
I think we're pretty heavy on the bad news right now, so maybe just sprinkle in some positive, a spoonful of sugar and such.
Sometimes people say that my head is too big for my body, and then I say, compared to what?
I'm the president of rap music, and I need to work with you right away.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome, everyone, to a Tuesday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
Just study it out, and you'll see.
My name is Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
I'm sorry, I'm tan. I like to be tan. It just feels good.
I sound a little distracted here at the top of the episode because I'm at the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, of course. And,
Ma, Pa, it's just beautiful.
Two hummingbirds were flitting right outside the window, and I got excited because I thought maybe they were, maybe they were on a date or something. Maybe they were having a fun, like a Disney-esque cartoon swoon. And then one of them just kind of charged at the other, and then that one flew away. And I was reminded of a conversation last weekend with my sister who said, yeah, hummingbirds are actually pretty brutal towards each other. I choose to believe that that they are the cartoon birds out of Cinderella and Snow White, and that they mostly exist to help sew me a dress at the last minute before I go to the ball to meet the prince. That is my version of hummingbirds, and no one is allowed to dissuade me of it on this Tuesday that is supposed to be very warm here in southern Washington. We're going to get into the 90s.
Hot tacos here.
Operating all of the fans here in the Madrona Hill studio to try to keep in front of the heat as we bring you episode 4000. Wait, where is my bell? Everything's out of sorts here. 4,510 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
I recently acquired a piece of technology that I have legitimately, extremely mixed feelings about.
Isn't that for techno geeks with spreadsheets?
I don't know how Andrew's going to feel about this, quite honestly. Quite honestly. I think this might be a rupture in our friendship, so we'll talk about that. I do not have mixed feelings about what happened last night in Atlanta on the baseball field when Cal Raleigh, Seattle Mariners' own big dumper, was winning the home run derby.
It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
This is not a story about sports. It's a story about fathers and sons and dumpers. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it with this guy, longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships and his door holding.
Hold on.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. I made myself chuckle during your intro. You said something about... I don't usually, I think, talk to myself or respond verbally to your intros, but you were like, this may cause a rupture in the relationship. And I said out loud, nah. I just found myself saying, nah, we're fine. We're fine. I did also think of something, and I worry about sort of disrupting the flow of the show here, but you be honest with me here. I can save this for another day or later in the show, but something happened to me this weekend that involves paying for a check at a restaurant and, kind of splitting a check. And I remember it was one of those things that happened in the moment and it went by pretty quickly. And then I started thinking about it later in sort of new light. And then this morning I'm like, oh, you know what? This is, Luke? This is the intersection of technology, culture, and dining coming up.
We love intersections.
Isn't that for techno geeks with spreadsheets?
After the news.
What happened?
After this news, I was at I was going to a party on Saturday evening, and ahead of time, I was meeting up with some friends. We were all going to go to the party together because I was the person who knew the folks at the party, and these folks didn't know them. So we met at a place you probably know on Capitol Hill. I feel like it's such a good place to meet for a couple of drinks before you're going somewhere else. It's called Poquitos. It's a Mexican restaurant right on the hill. It's been there forever. It's got this large kind of quasi-outdoor space. It just sort of makes it perfect for this time of year. So we're like, hey, we'll go there, we'll have a few drinks, and then we'll take off. Eves and I get there first. We have the first round of drinks, order some chips and some salsa. Our friends show up maybe for the second round, so there's 4 of us sitting there, 2 couples. And we ordered, I'm thinking between all 4 of us, we probably got like 1 thing of chips and salsa and, between 2 and 3 rounds of drinks. And we have a really nice server. I really like him a lot.
He was tiny, though, but, I mean, you have to work there.
Oh, he's poquito. Anyway, so it is one of those things where, first of all, it's Capitol Hill, so drinks are going to be a little bit pricey. That's fine. I wanted to pay for everybody's drinks anyway. It just seemed nice. Our friends who were meeting there have just moved back into town. But I really don't like that awkward moment of being like, no, I'll get it. No, I'll get it. Like, I just want... So luckily, we avoided that because the server came over with the little handheld thing when it was time for us to take off. And he comes over and he gives it to me first. To like put my card in and pay, and my buddy says, you got this split out, right? Like he kind of asked the server specifically, like you broke out ours so we're not all paying as one. And the server said, yeah, no problem. And he hands it to me first. And I was sort of thinking, I kind of want to fight that. I kind of wanted to pay for everybody, but I just don't want to have that awkward moment. And so
re-add it all together.
Yeah, I was just like, whatever. So if he's already got it, so he hands it to me, and then I pay for it. And I'm sort of like kind of having this thought. First of all, I'm always awkward when they kind of give you the thing and then stand there, and you got to kind of figure out the tip or whatever. I really
and then it's like,
don't like that.
There's like the moment where the server has to kind of avert their gaze because you're choosing the tip.
Yeah. I assume, I don't even know if he's averting it or not, because I'm averting my gaze. I'm looking down. I don't know if I always feel like they're looking. And again,
no, you're averting your gaze at the screen. They're hopefully averting their gaze away from you and whatever decision you're making.
Yeah, and so now I want to say again, like I really like this server. He was kind of a fun guy, but not like over the top or anything. So anyway, he says, yeah, I broke him apart. Then he hands me the thing, and then as I'm paying, I'm like, ooh, that's a bit more expensive than I thought. If we're just paying for our half of things, it's like wow. But that's okay. I'm not one to like I say any. I was like, oh wow, that is if we're paying for half, and that's what it is. That's expensive. And I got to say the one awkward thing is it defaulted to 22%, and I was like, I knocked it down to 20. I almost hit 20, and I was like, and I'm like, I don't know if he saw me do that, but whatever. It was
a custom tip.
Yeah, it's like
no. Or did it give you 20 as an option, or was it 22% the lowest of the general options? So, or not the lowest, but you know what I mean. Yeah. It'll go 15%. 18%, whatever. Yeah. Like they set it however they want. And then if you want to not do one of those, you have to go custom tip.
Yeah, I think it was like that. I didn't even look for the custom tip button. I wasn't going to do that in this situation. Right. But he hands it to me, and it's like 4 blue boxes. The first one in order is 22. The next one is 20. And I believe the next one is 15. But it's defaulted to the first one of 22. Yeah. So I almost just hit OK, but then I take a split second and I hit 20 instead.
Well, now that they're not paying taxes on those tips, Andrew, we only need to do 20%.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, that kind of plays into it. They, servers, I'm not trying to undercut anybody, but I think 20% on that, knowing that folks are earning over $20 an hour and then tipping 20%, I'm happy to do it. I'm not complaining. I don't want to be like a Buscemi here or anything like that. But yeah, I think 20% is fine, like, right?
In what program is he a tip complainer?
Oh, Reservoir Dogs. It's this whole opening scene about him saying the world's tiniest violin or something. He's like,
really? Like, are they in the diner before the robbery?
They're in some, yeah,
before
they're in
everybody
that diner.
Be cool. This is a robbery. I love you, honey bunny.
I haven't seen that movie in probably over 10, if not 20 years. So I don't know exactly the order of things, but I feel like it's very much near the beginning. You're getting to know these characters.
That would make sense because they're probably in the diner, right? I think.
Yeah, and they're in the diner, and he's like, and he goes on this whole kind of, I think it's sort of an iconic rant against tipping. All of that is to say, this isn't even about the tipping, to be honest with you. It was just like this awkward moment. I always feel like I got to do this quickly, but smartly or whatever. So the point of all of this is, I'm like, ooh, that was more pricey than I thought for half of these drinks. And then I hand it back to the server.
I'm sorry. For half of these drinks, did you split the bill with somebody else?
So he came over, and my buddy said, "This is split. You've broken us off, right?" And he said, "Yes." And then he hands me the machine, and I look down, and I see that it's more expensive than I thought it was going to be for the split
for
bill.
half of the drinks.
For half of the drinks. I wanted to pay for all of them, but when he said he already broke it out, I didn't want to argue in the moment. So I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, point is, I pay for it. I hand it back to the guy. Then he turns to my buddy and says, "I was lying. I didn't break it out. He paid for it all." Whoa. Which is interesting. At the moment, I was grateful for it. This is one of those things. In the moment, I was grateful for it because I was like, oh, good. I wanted to get all these drinks. And the server, I feel like, intuited that we didn't want to have like an awkward moment. And I'm so happy to not have the awkward moment. But as I thought about it later, and here's what I think. I need to add a caveat here. My buddy is, and I'm leaving names out on purpose because it gets a little bit personal when it comes to age stuff. My buddy is probably about 10 years younger than me ish, so he's in his 30s, mid to late 30s or something. And he's married to somebody who is like maybe 10 years younger than him. I could be wrong about that, but point is,
a child.
What's that?
So a child bride.
yeah. I mean,
I'm just doing the math. 10 years younger than you, then 10 years younger than that.
Yeah. She's
divide by half.
I believe I would guess that she's in her 20s. I don't know for sure. Okay. But let's say you have me and Vives there who show up first. And we are and Genevieve looked great, by the way. I don't think Genevieve looks like an old lady. We all know what I look like. And so we showed up first and I'm knocking on the door of 50. My buddy shows up. He's a young, hip-looking guy in his 30s. And he's there with a woman who might be in her 20s. I'm guessing there. I'm not sure. So later on, and I could be wrong about these ages, but I'm wondering, like, in the moment, I was very glad that the server did something what I thought was savvy and avoided an awkward moment for me. But then I'm thinking about it later. I'm like, oh, it's probably because I was on Capitol Hill and I wasn't dressed like a frump or anything. I actually thought I looked nice, but I don't look like a hipster.
Were you wearing a world's best dad trucker hat like you do sometimes?
It was a T-shirt. On the front, it said "World's Best Dad," and on the back, it was a skeleton. It looked like it was my skeleton for some reason. I don't know.
Were you dressed right out of one of those progressive ads? So that is your theory that the server thought you and Vives, or maybe you, were the parents of the people there?
Not parents, but elders. Not parents. Like, clearly weren't. I mean, there's nobody would think we're their parents, obviously. But that we are just old and that we are the olds in there. I could be wrong about that. Maybe the age thing had nothing to do with it. But I was telling Genevieve later, and again, Genevieve's like, oh, yeah, no, we wanted to pay. But when she found out that the server had done, because she had totally missed all of this, when she found out that the server had made the decision for us, she was like, that's really galling. And I'm like, I don't know. In this day and age, maybe it's like, if there's an issue here, we can all just Venmo each other. And he was just being a little bit flippant about it. But yeah, it sounds like you think this is pretty galling too.
I join Genevieve when I say,
de ninguna manera, bajo ninguna circunstancia.
Absolutely no way under any circumstances.
Well said.
Poquito.
Oh, that's why you did
Senor
that.
Poquito.
I was wondering why you did you have that drop?
That is so unbelievably a breach of trust between the server and the person doing the buying. Like, that is now, again, you said he was a nice server. You guys had a vibe, but if you had at no time expressed a desire to pick up the tab, I mean, that could tear friendships apart.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Because not your friendship with these people, but like those things, depending on who you're out with, those things can be a bit on the awkward side. And there are the people where you sort of do want to be like, yeah, let's just split this down the middle.
Yeah.
There are the people that are they're the ones that sometimes get the whole thing. Sometimes you get the whole thing. There's a kind of a mutual feeling of respect and generosity. And so there's not any hesitation around who's getting the check on a particular night. There are those kinds of relationships. So there are other ones where you're like, you know what? This is the kind of relationship based on history where we're just going to kind of keep this business-like. We're going to keep everything pretty tidy. And like the idea that you would then be put in the position of trying to collect a debt that you would be calling this friend at some point and there would be an auto message before that said, this is an attempt to collect a debt. Anything you say on here will be used in the service of that. Like it puts, now you're right, in the world of Venmo, I mean, listen, I've actually got a sort of a larger thought on this, which is this, I didn't realize it was just you and another couple. You and another couple, that's one thing to split the bill. I think down, and if it's down the middle.
Well, and also, well, keep in mind, Vives and I were there first, so I'm not even 100% sure that everybody had the same number of rounds. There's a chance that down the middle wouldn't have even maybe been fair. I don't know.
New rule. That should be a segment on the show.
Hey, I like this. What happened? Did you accidentally slip into some cable programming recently or something?
Yeah, exactly. I've been hanging out on Bill Maher's couch, getting high and sliding down it like Richard Dreyfuss. Have you seen that footage?
Yes, that's classic
where Richard
footage.
Dreyfuss is just getting increasingly more slug-like on the couch.
I forgot about that. I love that though. Is Mars still on television? Right? He's actually.
I think I'm led to believe he's still on home box office. I think.
Yeah, because Chris was on his show for his book tour. I remember him saying he was going there kind of.
Which, by the way, good gig. Like good gig if you could get it. I would do it in a heartbeat if invited, which is never going to happen. But I also, as too many of us, I got pretty kind of complicated thoughts about Bill Maher, but. I tend to think that the only splitting that should be allowed is into the maximum would be thirds and in equal amounts. Okay, the maximum would be quarters and in equal amounts, in quarters. What I think is not okay in this day and age with Venmo and all of these things. Now, by the way, I'm the one who said already I thought the server was way out of line, but now I'm going to actually kind of defend servers at large, or at least defend what I think is their time and their energy. This idea that we expect servers to go back and like pull out who had who had the romaine salad, who had one margarita, who had 3 margaritas. Like we the customers, I feel, are responsible to basically settle the bill up in a way that is not overwhelming for the server and then work it out amongst ourselves. I do think 50-50 down the middle is not a problem. I do think break it up into quarters, like round numbers, things that are easily mathed is fine. But expecting a server, and I'm not saying this is what was happening at your drinks at all. That was not what was happening. But like just this general idea, I was out with my siblings this weekend, and we went down to the McMinimans down there in Kalama. And I mean, my move on the, not to, pat myself on the back too much, but I'm the oldest, I'm the big brother. I think it does. I am their elder, and it was recognized by the servers, I believe. It is I feel my responsibility to pick up the check on things like that. And what I do, my move is I find the server before they get to the table and I slip them my card.
Yeah.
That's another conversation about trying to pay and not argue. But that server was our server was so incredibly nice. It was a really hot day. I think they were kind of a little understaffed. Our server was like, I think I'm going to be your bridge server. I'll be kind of helping you out until so-and-so's back from break. And we said, awesome. And then he just ended up being our server the whole time and was just like really great, but was totally ready to like break down, like to set, like if my brother Sam wanted to pay for his firecracker shrimp or whatever he had individually, one menu item, and then one beer, and then half of the beer that he split with, it's like, this guy was ready to do that. And I was just like, I felt for him because I just feel like it should fall upon us, the customers, to try to keep it reasonable with that, especially because we all have ways now of, generally speaking, paying each other afterwards.
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
the beauty of Venmo.
And that's why a few things on that. First of all, I am with you on this, on almost everything. I think you and I approach these things in almost the exact same way. If possible, I'd love to just pick up the whole thing, unless it's too big of a party and that seems ostentatious or whatever. The thing that I love more than money is not having an awkward moment. I will pay any amount of money to do that. I will pay. No, you should pay. Oh, you paid last. Like I will you know what I mean? And especially with friends like this, friends with, whether if I'm out with you, I know I'm going to have another meal with you at some point. You know what I mean? I'm not sweating whether or not like you'll not pick up. You just have those relationships, and I would say I have that relationship with these friends that I was out with.
Of course.
So of course I was glad to pay the whole thing and intended to. And And so none of this is about like kind of feeling weird about it.
No, but that's presumptuous on the part of the server.
On the server, and here's the thing, and I don't mind, and I'm what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm approaching this interest like with true interest and curiosity is this servers pick up, bartenders and servers pick up a lot on vibes, and I think can assess situations pretty well. I'm wondering if the server would have been able to tell if it wouldn't been a situation where we were happy to pick it up. You know what I mean? If it looked like maybe we were two couples who were meeting for the first time for some reason, or didn't know each other as well, or something along those lines. Maybe we were meeting for the first time because we were all going to be a quapple together. Is that a thing?
I was trying to think of what that would be. Would it be a quapple, like a quad? Or would it be a...
It was a blind quate is what this was. No, but anyway, so I was sort of like, that could have just been really savvy. I really like this guy, and so I wonder if it was that. But here's the one argument sort of against it is when Vives and I were probably there, I don't know, like I'm going to say maybe 20 minutes before our friends arrived. So with those devices that you come to the table, you know what I mean? When they use the devices to take your order, they use those devices to pay at the end. I do think it's a lot easier in this day and age when the second couple gets there just to sort of start a new tab for them that can either be combined or separated out. I do think that separating things out in this day and age, especially with those point of service machines or whatever they're called, probably is a lot easier than it was back in the 90s or something. But I am still loath at the end of the meal to like kind of say, oh well, yes, like let's pull this out. You had the salad and I had one bite of a crouton or whatever.
Particularly if they're in the weeds.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know enough about what that point of service thing looks like from their end as far as how kind of user friendly it is for them to go. This, okay, check one. Your check, Andrew, is going to be like, all I have to do is tap the three things and now they're part of it. It would be great if that. What I know about restaurant software technology is that a lot of it is really crappy, actually. Like, there are still many restaurants that are using Aloha, which means hello and goodbye. Oh, and also means, like, Aloha is the sort of a restaurant software that is where servers put in orders. This is if they don't have that little handheld thing now. And the reason you'll notice is it'll be behind the bar or near the kitchen, and it'll just be a black screen that has the word Aloha bouncing around as like a screensaver.
I don't recognize that, weirdly enough, for as many times I've probably stared at that. Like, but I do when you turn off the screensaver. Is it like the big colored blocks that we've been seeing?
Yes.
Like a screen full of like just buttons, like touch screen buttons that you push that are like very basic colors.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And it has been the industry standard for years and years and years and years. And yes, I'm sure that they have allegedly put it through some improvements, but I know that for many years, like after my first wife worked in restaurants in the late 90s, and I would go sit in there and hang out, and I'd see this Aloha system, and fast forward 20 years, I would see the same system in use in restaurants because once you got something that sort of moderately functions, what's the restaurant's real motivation to go in and spend a bunch of money to upgrade it or change it? And the servers kind of know the system, and they also learn the quirks of the system. The way that you can trick it into doing the order in a certain way, even though it doesn't really want to let you do that, but you could sub this for that. But all that is to say, if I know anything about restaurant software technology, I bet you that it is still even on that POS system, I bet you it's still less than super easy to break everything out. So I don't know. I don't know.
I kind of disagree with that, but that's just a guess. I don't know for sure. There might be other people.
Maybe we have some. Do we have any servers listening? Get at us.
The only reason I sort of I think it's I guess I would argue that my guess is it's gotten better because I just have seen servers already like have things split out in ways where I don't even realize. Like back in the day, people were still like using notepads to like write down orders and then going back and putting it into the machine.
Or worse, Andrew, not writing it down. Boy, is that ever skydiving without a parachute.
Yes,
when
it always made me
You've
nervous.
got a waiter who's just really confident they're remembering everything.
And I'm always like, no cheese, right? No cheese, right? I'm like doing that, like you're looking at my eyes, I'm looking at your eyes, no
you're
cheese.
trying to see if it's actually going into the part of their brain that stores memories for up to 8 minutes.
For some reason, I think this is funny text here, so I was looking while you were talking about this Aloha. There's Aloha POS, as it is technically called. I was just looking at Google Images, and I clicked on the first one, and it took me to a website that is troubleshooting group combos. So like just listen to this. Like for everything that you just said, like
is this Aloha itself, or is this something that has popped up because people who use the service are trying to figure out how to work with the service?
This does not look like it's on the official Aloha website. It looks like this is, but it's some sort of tertiary company or community, and it says troubleshooting group combos. Below are errors that you may encounter when attempting to comp group combos. Scenario 1. This is where it gets into a Tim and Eric thing. Listen to this. Scenario 1. You add a group combo to the guest check. You navigate to the comp screen and touch the appropriate comp button. The FOH displays a comp cannot be applied at this time error message. Here's what you do. Verify that the group combo is, quote, included under the, quote, combos group bar on the eligibility tab in maintenance payments comps. Then, scenario 2, you add a group combo and other items to a guest check. You navigate to the comp screen and touch the appropriate comp button. The item selection screen appears. The group combo does not display yet. The additional menu items do. Anyway, it goes on from there, but it's like all these scenarios.
Can you imagine, Andrew? You are a single mom waiting tables somewhere, just working your absolute tail off, trying to keep your head above water. Your gas tank is almost on E. You got to work. You're like somebody's watching your kids for you. You're doing this work. You got to get back home, and you're also trying to read on a third-party website how to enter a group comp into Aloha.
Exactly.
Like, it's one thing if this, and I'm not trying
Aloha
to stereotype.
means goodbye.
Aloha means goodbye to your sanity. Like, and I'm not trying to stereotype folks that work in food service, but it's one thing if all of that kind of need for, what would you call it? I don't know, precision, et cetera, was related to like a piece of software that you use when working in IT.
Yeah, right.
Like a desk job where like your job really is to figure this stuff out and to read through manuals and to understand processes and systems. If you are a server and you're having to read that to figure out how to do your flipping job, it would be so frustrating.
Right, and you're asking, like, the person who's trying to get off of their shift, like, help me comp this combo meal before you get out of here or whatever. That person just wants to leave. Anyway, exactly. I don't. But anyway, again, I have, just to be very clear, no hard feelings. I'm not even sure that the server did something wrong there. I just wanted your take on it. What did Genevieve say? Genevieve, she just did that thing where I was telling her this story last night. Because, again, it happened so quickly in the moment, and then I was thinking about it later, and I just kind of never talked about it with anybody. I'm like, oh, that is interesting. I'd like to bounce this off of her and see what she says. And she did that thing where her eyes, and again, the same place. Like our intention was to pay for the drinks anyway.
Of course,
so
it's not even about that.
Yeah, but she was just like, what?
Yes.
Like, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I can't tell if the kid just read me really well or read the situation really well or did something. I just don't. I mean, I think that the dining situation has to be a really rocky place for that to actually cause any kind of a real stink, right? Like you would just if that ended.
Okay,
and again,
couple things.
Yeah, but I mean, let me just say, I would just say, if I afterwards, if my buddy was like, dude, I really didn't want you to pay for that whole thing, or if I was like, dude, I would love to get this whole thing, but things are a little bit tight right now. Like you could just say, yeah, just Venmo me half of it. It was this amount of money. Just send me this. I just think that maybe I'm wondering if it's just sort of from the culture of it's so much easier to just like Venmo and PayPal or whatever these days. Anyway, that's my theory.
Well, as a person who, for a good part of my life in my teens and 20s, often had almost no money in his checking account. Like to where I would be, but also loved eating out, and wrote a number of checks at the Red Robin on Eastlake. Rest in power. Red in power. I think Red is the name of the Red Robin mascot, the bird.
Oh,
the robin.
No, there's a mascot involved.
Yeah. Those were the days. But anyway, I could see a world in which, like, I know that I have enough in my checking account for, let's say, half of the bill, but not all of the bill. I'm thinking of a meal in particular where my sister Liz and we were in New York. We were very, very young. I actually just graduated from college. So how old are you when you graduate college generally? I did like 4 years and 1 summer. So let's say I was probably 22. Mm-hmm. So my sister would have been 19 or something. because I missed my college graduation to do this because I just wanted to go see New York City. And we had no money. We had enough money for the plane ticket, for one subway ticket, which we then shared, which we later got chased by the subway police who ticketed us for fare jumping. It was Rudy Giuliani's New York. It was a very different
They're going to say it was
place
actually
back
Rudy Giuliani who was chasing you.
Yes.
Very hands-on mayor.
He was. But I remember we went to this dinner that a friend of mine who was older than me, who will remain nameless in this story. I don't know if you're familiar with this person, but this person was living in New York as a journalist. I really looked up to this person. They were about probably maybe 5-10 years older than me. We went out to this dinner. It was at a Chinese restaurant down in Chinatown in New York, and this person ordered. This is sort of sprawling into a totally different kind of restaurant etiquette story. But this person sort of ordered for the table because they actually knew what was the good food and they'd eaten there before. And like nowadays, I would actually be fine with this because I'd be like, okay, cool, I want to go with the one who knows. But then I remember at the end of the meal, and we had him being like, okay, well, it's there's 6 of us and it was this much, and so everyone put in this amount. And I remember just being like the last money that we had for the trip, just being like, we are so screwed. And then when we walked out, my sister Liz stepped into, this was like right out of a movie. She stepped out onto the street, but it was into a pothole that was just full of fish gut water.
I was hoping she walked right into the arms of Richard Gere. I hope it was going to be that kind of a movie.
There was an Onion headline, I think, that was like, most Americans' retirement plans now involve Richard Gere meeting them as a sex worker and proposing.
I guess that little joke that I made there does not paint your sister in the best light. I didn't mean to put her in a...
Listen, are you kidding me? Powerful Julia Roberts vibes, my sister Liz. They're both tall. They're both beautiful.
Yes,
she stepped into, we come out of this restaurant. We're now flat broke. There's still a week left on the trip. We have, and this is like, again, we have no credit cards. We have like, we're totally hosed now. And she steps 1 foot into, it's like a Ned Ryerson thing. It's like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. She steps into a pothole that is, it's not wet outside, but the pothole is full of fetid, rotting Chinatown fish guts water. Like, I think what had happened was, because, the thing about New York is, particularly this time of year, boy, I can almost smell the garbage from here on the West Coast. Everybody puts their garbage, you have to put your garbage outside on the street, but then it's 1,000,000,000 degrees, and then it's just, unless they get it right away, it just is pungent. And then somebody will come through and they'll hose down the whole area. And I think what happened was they hosed all the gross garbage refuse water, they hosed down the sidewalk, and then the water pooled in this one pothole in the road, and then Liz stepped in up to her ankle. So now her shoe was ruined because there was this shoe was not coming back from this experience. All of that is to say, and I know that I'm meandering here, and I'm not staying on topic, or even like I'm not staying even on the topic at hand about like if we should split bills or not. But what I can tell you is, if that waiter would have come to us and said, and made a joke where he charged us the whole bill, we literally wouldn't have had the money. So I guess my point is, the only other thing that could happen that would be a bad outcome would be you don't have enough money in your account to cover the whole bill. The waiter charges it to you because they're feeling kind of cheeky or something, and then you have to say to the table, I don't have enough money to pay for this, which would be, for somebody like me who's already operating on a pretty shame-based personality, I think it would be embarrassing.
It would be, and that's why I think that this server was able to intuit or ascertain that was not the situation Genevieve and I were in.
Do you think it was the pocket watch that you kept referring down to by way of your monocle?
I think it was the monocle. I do think it was the monocle, probably.
You were a man of means.
We were going to a party, I told you, and so I had on my,
you had your top hat out and your cane,
3-piece suit. Yes, I said, sir, please hand me my cane. No, but that's what I'm getting at here. So this is, again, Capitol Hill. This is like the young part of town. And that's what that's what I kept coming back to in my reflections on this, is like, I think if a table of 6 woohoo girls were there, doing a few shots, and then I think that he would have come over and said, "How are we paying for this tonight?" I don't think that he would have just given it to one of the women and said, "Here, I was lying. You're paying for all of your friends' drinks." I think he was able to ascertain that he wasn't probably putting me and V's in some sort of some sort of a huge awkward situation. And that's why, again, I'm sort of I'm right. It's like I'm teetering both from being, wow, that's kind of rude, to, wow, that's really good service, because he was able to kind of tell the vibe of the table. But also does make me feel a little bit old. And clearly I was a little bit self-conscious. It's not often that I'm on Capitol Hill on a Saturday night, right?
I also feel like there's one good this was the one good outcome that could have happened from this, which is you secretly wanted to pay.
Yeah, it worked out well.
But that everything else is a bad outcome. There's one good outcome. Andrew secretly wanted to pay, and this guy guessed right, and you paid, and everything worked out. That's the one good outcome. There's like 10 bad outcomes.
Yeah,
you don't have the money in your account.
Yeah.
The person you're with owes you, and you were trying to get them.
I've got a shiv hidden under the table.
No.
Yeah,
What I mean is you bought the last dinner.
Right.
Here's another thing that could happen. You got the last dinner. You all went out together. And now, in this case, you were kind of low-key hoping that they were going to grab this dinner, maybe to even things out. But you're not going to say to them, didn't we get the last dinner? Now it's like, now it's 2 in a row that you're picking up, not to make everything so petty, but like, I'm just talking about
co-worker. Like, what if maybe our relationship isn't that close? Maybe this is a guy I work with and we agreed to do this, but really I kind of don't like him that much.
And you're never going to probably go out for dinner again, so there's no chance of this evening out. Like, I just think there are a lot of not ideal outcomes, and there's like one ideal outcome, and thank goodness this was the one ideal outcome.
Yeah,
that's the good news.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it all worked out, but I did want to bounce it off you because I thought you might have opinions.
Well, per usual, Vives and I are in lockstep on this.
And I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. If I sound argumentative, it's only because I'm working through it. And as we transition out of this, and you were talking about New York, I just wanted to ask you something. So the other day, Vives and I have been together for so long. We don't even have to give context for anything. We can just say the punchline of a joke. And I don't know what we were talking about on Sunday evening, but we were sitting outside and we both looked at each other. We both looked at each other and said, "Windsurfing on Mount Baldy," which, do you know what that line refers to?
Absolutely no idea. Here's my Mount Baldy reference. And let's see. I do not think this is going to get me where I need to be. All I know about Mount Baldy is that there was a Buddhist retreat that was a silence retreat on Mount Baldy where Leonard Cohen really liked to go. He would increasingly go there throughout his life to where he was almost borderline living there. Is Leonard Cohen part of this windsurfing on Mount Baldy inside joke?
He is not, but another celebrity is. So I was obsessed. Even though I didn't watch the show obsessively, I was really obsessed and a big fan of David Letterman's Top 10 lists. And in the 90s, I had both of the books that were like a kind of a compendium of his top 10 lists. And I think maybe Genevieve did too. But I just feel like in our age range or that era or whatever, we shared these top 10 lists. Not me and Genevieve, but me and my friend group or family or whatever. We just knew them so well. And one of the funniest ones that I always remembered was top 10 expressions that aren't dirty but sound dirty. And the number one answer is windsurfing on Mount Baldy, which sounds so dirty. The one before that is shaking hands with Abraham Lincoln. By the way, that's number 2. But anyway, the only one I remembered from the list is windsurfing on Mount Baldy, but in Vives, it stands out to her too. I don't know if that's because I sort of incepted it into her, or she remembers it from her youth, but it's just like a shared common punchline that we just sort of both know. So we're just hanging out on Sunday, and I mentioned that, or one of us mentions that, and then we're like, what else is in that top 10 list? And here's where I'm going with this. I looked it up. First of all, I typed in David Letterman top 10 windsurfing Mount Baldy, and what that brought, the first result was literally a Lycos page. Literally a Lycos page from like the 90s, it looks like, where there was nothing there but colored text on a colored background.
Oh my God, Lycos.
Are you there now? Did you happen to find
I'm getting
it?
some
It's
music
amazing.
together for you.
Oh, okay.
When we get to the list, can I provide you a little Letterman music?
Oh, yeah. Do you want the list? Because I wasn't going for the list, but my whole...
I want to hear the list.
Okay, let me see if I can find this again. And I have to let me just like talk and then type, because otherwise this will get even worse. But
Lycos.
My point of this story, and I will try to find this list, is I was amazed by the Lycos-ness of it all. And I mean, it looked like a Lycos page. It was crazy. I was like, wow, so this is where these books that I had, these cherished books of top 10 lists, now they exist as a Lycos page online.
I feel like there's something spiritually connecting the David Letterman's humor, and particularly the David Letterman top 10 list, with the Far Side.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
They're very
Like,
much in my mind. I connected that era.
They're just, but not just the era, the kind of humor somehow. Although I guess what I would say is the Letterman stuff was a little bit more absurdist, and the Gary Larson stuff was maybe more observational, but rooted in, I mean, windsurfing on Mount Baldy is so funny and makes absolutely no sense. You could never windsurf on Mount Baldy. First of all, you need water. It's notoriously arid there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a funny thing, which I feel like so much of the Letterman stuff was just a funny thing that was totally absurd.
Right. And by the way, when I did type in kind of the similar search just now, I was trying to recreate what I did on my phone on Sunday. I did find this Lycos page again, and I don't know if you want it spoiled or not, but I emailed it to you just so you can see the design. Nice. I mean, it's so wonderful. Okay. It's just so. It's tiny font here, but do you want me to now share? Yeah. Wait. Where I was going with this, by the way, is related to something that is on this list, which is referring, or maybe it was a different list that I was looking at later because I kind of got into this whole Lycos verse. But it was so funny to see so many jokes on these lists refer to like Times Square as being this sort of cesspool of like sexual deviance and everything. And that's where, and I'm sorry, this was such a long story. That was my point of this.
And subway fare hopping.
Yes, turnstile hopping is actually in this. I don't know if you looked ahead, but your story about like going to New York and stepping in the puddle, and that was kind of Giuliani's New York. So things are starting to turn around that point. But I have no personal reference when it comes to New York. And so this was a real, I feel like, time machine to this time when the idea of Times Square is so much different than it is now, right? Like, I'm not wrong about that.
Oh, God. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, Times Square, the seediest thing about Times Square now is just the absolute crush of humanity. Like, it's just a million trillion people, and it's totally frustrating and annoying to try to ambulate around there. But there's absolutely all the porn is gone to whatever degree there were drugs being sold, and that sort of 1970s, maybe 1980s version of Times Square, which, funnily enough, probably by the time David Letterman was sending it up was already a little bit kind of out of step with the reality of Times Square. I mean, I do know there were more. When the first time I went to New York, I will say, which would have been, again, probably when did I graduate? 99, maybe 1999. There definitely was a lot of porn shops still in Times Square. Now they're just. This is the weird thing, though. I'm less offended by the porn, by porn shops. I mean, strip clubs, various kind of like dancey things, and then just adult book and video stores. That's what Times Square had a lot of. I'm less offended by that than I am by the new thing that has replaced them, which are basically T-shirt shops that just sell T-shirts that say like "F you F and F." Like, it's like, because what's happening is the more extreme the shirt, the more likely a tourist is to buy it. Like, hey, only in New York. So there's this weird. And by the way, the guys selling them appear to have a pretty limited grasp on English. This is not their view of the world. This is their view of the T-shirts that are moving the most. Yeah. And so instead of like good old fashioned smut happening up some stairs somewhere near a Roy Rogers, which used to be the vibe, now it's just a bunch of deeply profane and offensive T-shirts and also Trump shit that's all displayed in the windows of these shops, which, again, is a completely not a political or moral statement from the shop owners. It's just, what are people buying? And it turns out we're buying shirts that have the F word on them a lot.
I had to park next to a car the other day, or I chose to park next to a car the other day that had a bunch of bumper stickers on the back of it. And one of them, and I'm just going to say the word here, and I'll put an explicit warning, I guess, on the show today, but all I could see was like small writing, and then the word asshole kind of big, and then small writing underneath. And as I was parking, I couldn't quite tell what it said. And as I was leaving, I was glad to see that the car was still there and nobody was in it. It's so funny. It was like a beat up car with a bunch of bumper stickers, and it had the club on the steering wheel. And I always think I don't know, is it like, do beater cars, are they easier to steal? I don't know. I'm just like,
They actually are easier to steal.
I wonder if that's
in defense.
Yeah, right. So I wonder if that's why it's kind of cars like that have the club traditionally. But I got to say, it legitimately sort of made me laugh. The bumper sticker said, "I never thought I'd grow up to be an asshole, but here I am killing it." And I was like,
I like that kind of self-awareness.
Exactly. I was like,
I dig that.
I thought, oh, good. You're not calling somebody else that. Okay. Are you ready?
I was getting in my car the other day at PDX, by the way.
Yeah.
And the car next to me, which was not a beater that I remember, probably just a typical kind of relatively modern car, had the club in it in the parking garage in PDX. And I thought, I don't think this car's in danger of being stolen out of this parking garage. Like I don't even lock my car sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more afraid of losing my car keys when I'm traveling than I am of my car being unlocked in the PDX parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth of the matter is the only people in that parking garage are people who are they're either late for their flight or they're so flipping relieved to be home from their flight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is the safest possible. Now, maybe there was a day and age where that was a thing that was happening. I'm sure we have listeners have stories. I don't want to be glib. But in this day and age, what I can tell you is the safest place that my car could ever be parked would be in the short or long-term parking in the garage at PDX in the airport. I'm not talking about some off-site lot somewhere, whatever. And so the fact that this person like parked their car and then put the club on their car, it's like, like somebody's going to get onto the grounds of Portland Airport. They're going to get into the parking garage. They're going to steal your car. They're also going to somehow, I guess, pay the parking on their way out because you can't leave without paying for parking.
Mm-hmm. It's a little investment. You got to spend money to make money.
Well, that's what they always say.
That's what they say.
You're going to have to pay the lost ticket fee because you don't have the real ticket.
No, you don't. And that can be kind of expensive, right? The lost ticket
Exactly.
fee.
So this crime is starting to become less and less profitable by the second.
Yeah. Do you want to hear the list or not? I don't want to force it. Because that was not my intent of this, but you seem interested in this now. You ready, Paul?
Yeah.
You ready, Paul? Expressions that sound dirty but aren't. Number 1. Frosting the pastry. I wish I had I should have looked for this. Do I have a what do you call a drum effect
rim
sound?
shot.
A rim shot? I probably do. Do we have time for me to find it?
I've got one here if you want.
You got one there?
Yeah, of course.
Might be easier. Let's see here.
Okay. I've got it.
You got it? You got it? You all set? Okay. Number 2, shooting hoops. Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I've got two pieces of sound going here.
Yeah, you want me
I can do this.
Okay.
Although now the sound is about to end on Letterman.
Let's see here.
Do you have your...
Yeah, I can.
There we go.
So
all right,
we can
good.
do
Now we're
that,
back.
and then
now
we do
back.
this over here. Okay. Did I do number 2 already? Shooting hoops? I think I did. Number 3, Luke jumping the turnstile. Oh, now we got a rhythm. Okay. Number 4, checking your oil.
Love it.
Number 5. You ready for this one, Paul? Tethering the blimp. Tethering the blimp. Number 5.
You got to tether those blimps.
I know my...
Really
Number
bad,
6.
Really bad Paul impression. I apologize.
Sending out for sushi.
Oh, yeah, we do that sometimes. I love to get sushi.
You like sushi, Paul? You like sushi?
I love it. Sushi. Garth, you like sushi? I think wasn't Garth the drummer?
I don't know.
You didn't really. You said you didn't watch the show as so much as kind of consume its elements through pop culture.
No,
basically?
I mean I did. I remember loving the show. I remember being like a kid. Like it was just perfect for us when we were like 14, 15 years old. I would see it when I could,
like
and we
dropping
loved
a watermelon off the roof of the theater.
Yeah, I
like
watched it.
that.
I just didn't watch it every night, and I don't think I watched it as obsessively as you did. You tell stories about like trying to get to your friend's house in time to watch it. Like I didn't have like a watching culture around it, but we loved it. I mean, it really seemed like it was made for us.
So
number 7, picnic on the grass. Number 8, quarter pounder at the Golden Arches. Number 9, as I said before, shaking hands with Abraham Lincoln. And number 10, windsurfing on Mount Baldy.
Now, did you go in reverse order technically there?
I think that's the way. I remember he ends it with windsurfing on Mount Baldy. So it's numbered 1 through 10 here. I probably should have been saying 10 through 1. I blamed this on the Lycos. I just copied
I see. So they reversed. So the order is correct, the way they numbered it.
I do remember windsurfing on Mount Baldy being
the payoff
the
one.
Payoff, yeah. And
you know what I thought?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, you know what was funny was like, and this isn't a commentary on windsurfing on Mount Baldy, but I remember being a kid and being really obsessed with Letterman. And my thoughts on the top 10 list was, and this is probably just owing to the fact that I was 10 and not a 27-year-old comedy writer, I almost always thought the number one answer or whatever, the number one on the top 10 list, I can't remember it ever being the funniest one to me.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean?
See, this is the one that I remember more than any others, and I do remember that one paying off, but I don't.
And that's
know.
not, that's definitely not a criticism of the Mount Baldy joke, but just generally, I always remember being like, because my thought was like, these should be getting funnier, right? Like the number 10 should be the 10th funniest, and then 9, and then 1 should be so much funnier than the rest of them, and it'd always be like something that I kind of wouldn't get because I'm probably just too young for it, or I don't have enough experience or whatever. And he'd say the number one thing, and then and then the band would just go into it, and the crowd would start yelling, and it was a whole thing. How about? You've obviously also looked at least known Norman Rockwell paintings.
I did look at that.
Pretty great.
That one is pretty good. And
the number one, a boy's first manicure.
Boy's first manicure. The one that got me thinking about Times Square, I couldn't remember what it was, but it's top 10 Christmas movies in Times Square. Hot Buttered Elves, Santa's Magic Lap. I'll skip to the end. I'm not Rudolph. That's not my nose. All right, anyway.
That's such a Letterman joke.
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
All right, Andrew, here's the top story. If we have some time afterwards, we can we can bask in the reflective glory of Cal Raleigh and his accomplishments last night, which were so much fun to watch. Like, I needed that W so bad. But before that, if I can, because I've been building this up for 2 days
I'm very
now.
interested in this. I feel bad for dragging so long.
Andrew, I recently decided to purchase the Meta glasses.
No kidding. I am surprised.
Here's what I'm holding up for Andrew here on the little video connection. I'm holding up a Ray-Ban sunglasses case that has a little charging port at the bottom because it is, in fact, also the charger. Can you see, Andrew, how the little button lights up?
Nice design. Very nice design. Because it looks like a very beautiful... I thought you were just excited about... I thought you were going to tell me you spent $200 on a glasses case because it's a very handsome-looking Ray-Ban glasses case. But then when you look more closely, you see, there is some technology built in here.
What happened was when I was in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago working, our great camera guy, Jamie, had these Ray-Ban glasses on. I said, those are nice-looking glasses. They're your sort of typical... kind of Wayfarer appearing Ray-Ban glasses. And he said, they're the Meta glasses, actually. He goes, and they're kind of incredible. He said, I can actually shoot video on them if I need to. He's like, the sound is pretty amazing. And I noticed throughout the time that we were working together that they came in handy a lot. If he needed to take a picture of something and didn't have a free hand, and it was just something he needed to send in to CBS or whatever, he was just wearing basically a camera. And also, he said, as he was setting up the entire sort of, film location each morning, he was listening to music the whole time. I had no idea, but he didn't have headphones in. But he was listening to music through the glasses because that is another thing that they do. I have, since I got these things, Andrew, first of all, when they came in the mail, I thought, I immediately thought they've sent me the wrong ones. Because if you see, they just look right now, I'm putting them on. They look like something Johnny Knoxville would be wearing. They're kind of your sort of black, what would you say, like black frame kind of Ray-Ban glasses. And I thought, they've sent me the wrong ones because I'm not going to be walking around wearing these. These look kind of silly on me.
What did you think they were going to look like? Why did you think they were the wrong ones?
I thought they were going to be sunglasses, essentially. I thought they were going to, and they are, Andrew, because if you go outside, they transition into being sunglasses, which I know that's not like new technology, but I've never owned any kind of transition lenses. Do you have any?
No, you mean transition from the sunglasses to the normal?
From clear to like sunglass kind of material.
I'll be honest with you. I was going to say, I'll bet you this is the best version of that because I have always and no offense to people who have them, but traditionally, I've always thought that's a pretty bad look. I've known people who've had those
when we were kids,
and they just don't. Even as a young adult, I remember somebody that I appreciated very dearly in my time in New Hampshire, but he had those, and he had come in from the outside, and they'd be slowly transitioning, and they looked good as normal glasses, I think, but they looked bad in some. They never settled into one or the other or something like that. They just always looked a little bit awkward to me.
They probably look a little bit like these do because I'm indoors right now, so they're kind of mid-transition. But what I can tell you is, the technology is truly shocking. Just on the lens alone, the transition thing, which is if I were to walk outside in 2 seconds, these would just be full-on sunglasses. But if I were inside my house where I don't want to be wearing sunglasses because it actually really affects my ability to see things and read things, more so than like my vision going in terms of things being blurry. What I really can't do is read with sunglasses on. Like if I'm in my car wearing sunglasses, but I'm trying to check my phone, I have to take the sunglasses off to look at the phone. So these are kind of ideal in that way. Like if I'm in the house, I can be wearing them and they're not making it too dim for me. But then as soon as I go outside, they just turn into sunglasses. The thing that is totally insane about these, Andrew, is the audio situation, which is going to be impossible for me to convey to you, being that we're not in the same room. But when I start playing music from my phone onto these things, it is totally and completely immersive. This whole siblings weekend, I kept forcing people to try these glasses on and playing music for them, and they all had the same reaction. As soon as the music started, they reached for their ears. They were trying to understand. There's something about the way, they're just these little speakers that are in the arm of the glasses. They're very subtle. And there is something about the way that music gets conveyed into the inside of your brain that is totally like, it's unlike anything that I've ever experienced. Like, it's weird. It's just like you're hearing the music inside your head, but also your ears are not plugged up with earphones.
It's not. Is it bone conducting or whatever? We always get emails from listeners who are like constantly pushing these like bone. Do I have that term right? It has to be right.
Yeah,
it's like, They don't actually make
a
a sound, but somehow
they make a little bit of a sound. So I know this is not particularly. I know this is not going to be great. Radio or video, but I'm gonna just start playing. I'll play a little Waxahachie here. Oh, except I have to actually put it on, put the Bluetooth on. My bad. Like you can, if you were to put your head like right near mine, you could probably hear a little something coming out of the arm of these things.
Thank you.
I mean, listen, my friend, we're just 6 days away from Friendship, Wisconsin.
That's right.
And is there anything that indicates a closer friendship than us sharing the same headphone arm on my Meta glasses?
We thought there was nothing more romantic than just like sharing one wired earbud on the bus,
That's right.
But now it's just like, no, I lean close to you and I listen to your glasses.
That's right. So this is now, okay, it would appear that I am fully immersed in hearing the song Oxbow by Waxahachie right now. And I'm going to hold my little earphones up to, or my little whatever you want to call them, up to the microphone. Can you hear anything?
Yeah, just barely now. Just barely. Just very, very barely when you turned it up.
Bit, right?
By the way, I do want to say, though, just to clarify, because I asked this question.
Is it or is it not jawbone?
I thought maybe it would partially use bone conduction, but everybody's saying no, and I'm reading some reviews where people are like, I thought it must have been bone conduction, but it was not. It's just tiny downward-facing speakers.
The camera thing is totally insane, too. Like, I was hanging out, at so many points with my siblings. I wasn't wearing these, by the way, throughout. I was just wearing them like sunglasses, and I wasn't listening to music on them. That would be weird. But there was definitely a couple times where I was hanging out. We're sitting around on the deck. We all have sunglasses on. These ones I'm wearing just happen to have a camera on them. And, like, it was a really beautiful scene. And I just did this, Andrew. I just went, and I just took a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the thing is, the technology is so good, and the company that makes them is so bad. And obviously, I already, I guess, made the sort of moral decision when I bought these that I was okay with that. I mean, I'm not I guess there's no litigating it now. The decision, the original sin, if you want to call it that, of this is that I bought them.
Did you buy them on Amazon?
I did not buy them on Amazon. I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
I
bought them on Grove.
They put a little note on the box. They said, "You're making the world a better place."
Like, I'm truly conflicted about this. Even though, yes, I made the active decision to purchase them, because this is probably the coolest technology I've ever experienced in my life. Maybe short of like the first kind of smartphones that really worked. Like, I am absolutely blown away by this thing. Like, they're not, and I'm not trying to do an ad for them at all, but like, the glasses are not bulky particularly. They just are like, they feel like a typical pair of sunglasses. And yet the functionality of them, years ago when they first started making and selling some version of this, I remember thinking, I do think the idea of being able to photograph something based on what you're looking at is kind of a good idea, you know? Like, of course, there were those ones where you were like, you could be theoretically like live streaming. Well, those were the meta ones, like the original ones, right? Weren't they the ones that like, Seattle restaurants were saying you can't wear those in here. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah,
because
that
it was like you could be
Google
filming.
Glass, though, not Meta.
Google Glass.
Yeah,
that was Google Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but like the idea, and these do not augment reality as far as I can tell.
I was going to ask about that. I was wondering if can you look around and put it on like restaurant mode and sort of like see like the Terminator, like look at a building and get a review or something?
No, which I think is also part of why they can just be much more like normal sunglasses. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to do that as well, and probably that helps battery life. There's probably a bunch of stuff that it's simplified if you're not trying to make this also so that I can catch a Charmander, as I look around my augmented reality. But like I do remember thinking originally that like, oh, the idea that I could just I'm hanging out with people, we're having a nice time, and if I could just take a quick picture of it to kind of memorialize the moment without having to get my phone out or whatever, that would be that might be a cool thing. Or again, for just like doing work stuff, like if I was trying to send you a picture of something and I could just kind of like, take a picture of it and then send it to you, there seems like a convenience factor there. But, I was resistant because the early versions were really bulky and weird. And also even then I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But I broke down, I got these things after seeing how they were working for Jamie, our camera guy, and like, they're so far and above any like expectation I could have had for them as far as how they work. Like, they immediately just chirped. I also thought setting them up was going to be a hassle. I got it out of the box. I turned on the Bluetooth on my phone. It recognized them. I hit join, and now it's just like, what maybe the biggest part is, despite the very beginning of this when I didn't have it on the Bluetooth, these have been the only device I've ever had that actually pretty consistently pairs with my Bluetooth. How it's a constant journey most of the time of forgetting devices and rejoining. The handshake on this seems to be pretty good with my iPhone, which just by that alone kind of like makes it kind of nice, because I just put them on and then I'm listening to my music and I'm walking around. But I'm also like, I put these on. We went out on a little boat last night, Becca and I, and our friends Jim and Kara, who went out on their boat out in the Columbia River. And Jim is a retired tech executive, and he had never. I was like, "Have you ever tried these?" He goes, "No." I was like, that's the right answer. And then I put him on, and he was like, holy shit. And then like I put him on Becca, and she was like, how much were they? Mm-hmm. And I told her, and she was like, and I thought she was going to think that was a preposterous number. And she goes, that's not that expensive. I need these.
I was just looking at the price. I was expecting them to be much more than they are.
They're like $350 or something, which that's not nothing. I don't want to act like $350 is not a lot of money, because it really is. But like, what I can say is, when I am here working at my house now going forward, I think it is pretty unlikely that I will be wearing regular headphones, unless I'm mowing the lawn where there's a lot of like regular noise around. But like, these things are, it's all, and weirdly, I swear to God, it's almost like a richer sonic experience, which makes no sense, because you'd think going directly into your ear holes would be the best way to get the sound of something. And maybe an over the ear, maybe if I were to wear like the big headphones that you wear, that would be a more immersive experience. I'm always like an AirPod-y kind of guy. But the sound in this compared to the AirPods is, I think actually,
Did I
just
just start
actually
playing?
turned.
Yeah,
I
could hear a
music
little
back
bit
on.
of it. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
the listeners will be able to hear that, but I heard a tiny bit.
But
of it.
but yeah, so I don't know, but this is why I said this could tear us apart, because I feel like I feel very conflicted about the fact that I gave Mark Zuckerberg $350 of my money for this, because I don't want to support that world at all, and yet I also am so extremely blown away by the product. I don't know how would you ever buy something like this? And I'm not going to be offended if your answer is absolutely not.
Well, I think it's really important in this day and age, as I mean, what I'm doing with my life and technology right now, and my decisions of where to shop and where not, is might not even be rational and maybe not relatable. And so one thing I want to make sure that as I feel more and more kind of despair at the world around me, I feel helpless and I feel like there's not a lot I can do. And so I think that's why I'm personally obsessed with trying really hard to just, if there's one small thing, I'm not going to take down Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos by not being on Instagram or not buying my underwear on Amazon. You know, like I'm really only hurting myself. I'm making my life more difficult for literally no reason. Like Jeff Bezos is not like, boy, we were doing pretty well, guys. And then Andrew stopped buying his boxers.
We lost the Walsh account.
We lost the Walsh account. Like, you know what I mean? Like what I'm doing serves no purpose at all. It's just what I need to do right now because I feel like there's nothing I can do. So I would never buy them. But I want to be very clear. I'm not going around judging other people, and I'm not judging you. And I'm not going around being like, wow, oh, so I see you're still shopping on Amazon, huh? You know what I mean? Like I asked you before if you bought those on Amazon. I was just making a joke. I really, I do
think there would have been something.
I just would have been funny.
Extra
like
bad
I just had
about
to,
buying about Amazon.
Because I'll be honest with you, the reason I asked too is because I looked up. Just I wanted to see these things, and the first result, other than their website, was Amazon. But in all seriousness, so listeners should know that as well. As I talk about my like frustrating. Impotent journey into trying to like be a slightly better, consumer. It's not doing any good. Like I know that.
I mean, that's
it's
like
just
saying
me.
me not eating certain kinds of meats is not doing any good. It isn't doing any good, but it makes me feel like I'm not adding to the problem.
But you know how you're also very sensitive to try to not sound judgy.
Yep,
That's what
100%.
I'm saying.
I think that these are very
really,
analogous, actually.
I don't want to make people like. I don't want you to think that I'm judging you on that, and I don't want any listeners to think that I'm judging them on that, or anybody to think that, because that's a really, first of all, just annoying, unfair person to be.
Right. I don't think you're that way. I don't take it that way. I also am going to make you wear these when we're in Friendship, Wisconsin, and John, because I have to say, and this is the problem. I'm now an evangelist for this, even though I'm not trying to be, because what is actually the most fun part about it is putting these things on someone's face and then turning on some music and just looking at their expression like, what? The what? So like, I will be subjecting you to that. But I do respect also your, I guess what I could have done also, because this is the way technology is, okay, maybe these jerks at Meta are at the kind of front edge of this, but it won't be long before, whoever else, like JL or Sony or, the other companies that do this kind of stuff will just make their version of it, and it'll just be like, because I mean, it's a pretty simple thing. It's a camera. It's a camera that's in a pair of sunglasses, and then like a couple of little speakers, and there's Bluetooth. That's not proprietary. Well, I mean, it is probably technically proprietary technology, the exact way Meta does it, but that is not like actually a tough nut to crack probably in this day and age from a technological standpoint. These are things that exist in the world. You just have to combine them. So I guess what I could have done is waited for, somebody who is not quite as terrible for the world to make them, and maybe I should have done that.
I mean, who's not terrible for the world? I
don't know. Is Exxon making them?
Right. Oh, I have the Ray-Ban Valdez. The most compelling thing that you said was actually a cameraman. When you were putting it that way, like I think you said his name is Jamie. For him to say like, well, I have a whole bunch of tools around me that do audio and video recording, and this is my latest tool, and it comes in handy. I know I sound like kind of a fool here. I know that the vibe of CBS Sunday morning features are not like, handheld TikTok-y types of things. It's like there's more care that goes into it, and that's why you have like professional camera crews and all the lighting
Well, there's
and everything.
more and more of that, though, I will tell you, and by design.
And so that's why, like, if I think of this just as a professional tool, like, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, if that means the next time, and again, I don't know if they would use the footage or if it's good enough, but like, if you can grab the footage and then it can be processed later and sort of stabilized later, and it looks professional, if you can go up and grab these people off of the street who are gaga over seeing Bridget Everett, and you can just like click a button, or somebody on the production team can click a button and they can capture that, and it's not as good as bringing over the professional TV camera, but you have it and it's usable. Like, as a tool, as a professional tool, that sounds like pretty appealing.
Right. I think that probably, honestly, for me was like, that was just enough of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Excuse, rationalization. You know what I mean? Because they seemed like there was a professional. I could see a world in which, like, yeah, we're on a shoot, and we actually do this more and more now. Like, I have producers will shoot stuff on their iPhones or on their Galaxy or whatever, you know, and we'll use it in the show. There aren't any like rules about what we can and can't use, and sometimes it actually adds to the texture.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
I think I sort of told myself, like, in fact, I was talking about that Osmo the other day, that like little camera, and the Osmo, I could be wrong actually, but it either shoots onto an iPhone and is stored on an iPhone, or maybe it just turns your iPhone into the monitor. But a lot of times our camera guys will be holding this little tiny gimbal, and it'll have their iPhone mounted on it. And maybe that's just showing them, maybe that's just the monitor function. But anyway, it is more and more the case. And in fact, now the thing that CBS is having us do is they love having their correspondents record. I wanted to talk to you about this at some point, which is the TBTL broadcast standard of landscape versus vertical.
What do you mean that standard where?
Well, I mean that we always, like when we do Hey Dummies, it's always all landscape. We've always been landscape. We've been landscape men since the very beginning.
Because it goes on YouTube, right?
Well, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that's vertical. It just has dead space on the sides. Like, if you watch as much TikTok as nobody shoots anything in landscape on TikTok. And in fact, in almost all of the social media platforms, like, landscape is an old man's game. I think it looks better, but there's something that is, I was listening to, I think, Chris Hayes and Ezra Klein talk about the election of Mamdani in New York, or at least the winning of the primary. And I think they were calling it vertical phone content. And that vertical phone content was sort of shorthand for a certain kind of video, you know? And it's the phone is always being held vertically. And it's one of those things where, all of the social media platforms that involve video, maybe with the exception of YouTube, which is a biggie, are sort of oriented around vertical filming now, because it's just easier to film vertically. Younger people, I think, are probably less hung up on the landscapeification of things. I remember our friend Bean, who I, by the way, have been low-key WhatsApping with during the show. One of his many hobby horses has been, turn your camera to the side. Do you remember that was like a whole, that was a refrain from him. And again, I will agree that I think it's a better visual experience, but it also is, to me, very boomer coded, as opposed, and I'm not trying to say we should try to pretend like we're young, because we're not young, but like now the CBS will have us making these videos that they're going to use as promo. So we'll be at a place where we're shooting, but this is not being filmed by the camera, and this is me with my phone, and this is me doing something that they're hoping that this is something that would be like sort of interesting on TikTok, right, or interesting on Instagram. And the literal instructions from the CBS brass is hold your phone vertically, which is pretty funny considering all of the money that gets spent on all of this amazing camera equipment and lighting to make a really nice, beautiful picture. And they're like, but also, if we want people to know about it, we need you to hold your camera vertically and wander around.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense for you. I would never make my artistic decisions based on whether or not somebody thinks I'm a nerd or not. But I will say that
I only make my artistic decisions based on that.
Some things fit it, some things don't. You can send me whatever you want, and I'll send it to YouTube, and however it fits, it fits. I'm not going to change my way because somebody's going to think I'm old. I am. But I am just, it's so funny. So I was, and this is a whole different conversation. I went to the, I think I told you I went to the Pixie show the other day.
No.
Your boy opened up.
And MJ Lenderman?
Not MJ Lenderman. I swear I thought I mentioned it. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, Ubergen had an extra ticket, so I went to the Pixies show and
nice.
Whole lot of sea lice. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, Kurt Vile.
Kurt Vile opened up. It was a really, really fun time. It was a great show. It was amazing.
Where was it at?
It was at the Paramount. Nice. And so it was interesting because I've been to shows at the Paramount where they don't put seats in. And I remember Jen even saying ahead of time, she's like, it's going to be weird sitting for this show because it looks like we have actual seats. And so they must be able to, you might know this from maybe doing shows there or whatever, they must be able to have the option of having seated area or standing area.
Yeah.
And it was funny because, I don't know, 6 months earlier I went to see, I think like the Breeders and Belly, and that whole area was standing. And then for the Pixies, which are literally the same generation, like, I mean, the Breeders and the Pixies used to share one member, right? Kim is no longer with the Pixies, but they had seats for this. Well, the second the Pixies come out, everybody just stands up. This isn't, I guess, really the point of my story, other than I just sort of thought that was interesting. But in front of us, and Jen and I couldn't. And Jen's younger and hipper than me, but both of us were really kind of astounded that the fella in front of us, who might have been there by himself, which might explain this, filmed almost the entire thing on his phone. I don't mean a song. I mean the entire Pixies set. He's standing there with his phone the whole time, which I thought that was just kind of
should get some
funny
Google
anyway.
Glasses or some whatever
well,
the
that
hell
would be an
these
argument
things are
for
I'm
that
wearing.
if you are doing that. But I'm also kind of like, who's going to watch this? Like, who's going to edit this? What are you going to do with this? Where's it going to live? Why? Just why?
Yeah.
But also, why would you? So the stage goes from left to right. It's long.
Oh,
there's a whole
vertical?
band. Yeah, it's horizontal. Stage is by
No, but his camera was vertical.
his camera is vertical, so he's only getting he's getting tons of ceiling, dead space. He's getting tons of the heads in front of him, and he's getting one or two band members and moving it around. You just tilt that phone, you have the entire stage and no dead space above and below. And hey, listen, that's going into that man's personal archives. He can do whatever he wants, but it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I've been trying to ask myself in situations like that, where was I recently where I did find myself breaking my phone out a bunch because it was a cool moment. But then I also was also asking myself, am I ever going to go back and watch this stuff? Because that's the big question. If you're somebody who, goes to a concert and you film the whole concert, but then you derive a real joy out of going home and then rewatching it, and then you maybe, put it up on your smart TV and watch it or something. Like if you go back and enjoy the footage, then I'd say go for it. As long as you're not like blocking everyone's view with your phone, because that's a whole other issue with that stuff sometimes. But like for me, it's like I'm with you. I'm just probably never going to go back. I may go back and look at some pictures at some point, but I will definitely probably not go back and watch a long video of a song that Wilco is playing for the Wilco show personally.
Yeah.
But I do kind of understand that. I wish I could remember the specific moment because it would just be a more interesting observation if I could. But yeah, like there was something that I was at a while ago that was a performance, and I was like pretty geeked about it, and I was like, I really wanted to document it, but then I was also, I should just try to document this with my eyeballs and my brain right now. Like I should just try to take it in. But there was this feeling of specialness around it where I was like, I also wanted to like capture it forever, which again, is allegedly what our eyes and our brains are doing when we watch something, because we will remember it unless we're you and me, in which case we may not remember it. But theoretically, we should be putting it down on the hard drive that is our brain. But like somehow I don't feel like that's enough. Like if it's a really special moment, I'm like, but if I don't videotape it, then how will I remember it later? How will I be able to go back and watch it? And it's like, well, maybe I could go back. I was even having a little bit of that this weekend with my siblings, because it was such a fun weekend and I was just enjoying it so much. And I was definitely like, I had my phone out more than anybody else in terms of taking pictures and little videos and stuff, because I kept just wanting to be like, I want to remember this forever. Like and I guess it's like, and maybe, I don't know, I want evidence of it or something. But then I also had to kind of toggle back to like, yeah, I want to remember this forever in my brain, because I want to be sitting here with my siblings just enjoying a cup of coffee and just like, talking about old childhood memories or whatever. That's a way for me to remember it too. I don't have to be capturing it on my phone, but it's definitely a struggle for me. I mean, says the guy who's got these stupid AI glasses or whatever they call them.
Well, as you were sort of like
somehow not knowing the name of them is my version of resistance
of me not saying Climate Pledge Arena, which I just do.
Right,
now.
exactly. Like I feel like if I choose to never know what they're called, I'm somehow a little less culpable.
As you were sort of like kind of ping-ponging back and forth on your own experience there, I just want to like speak up and just say like I know I sort of raised that specter by talking about this guy who was in front of us. It was more about like how I just thought
vertical.
There's so much wasted space in his shot that is just garbage, and you can't even get the whole stage. But again, I don't care. That's not my footage, and he can do whatever he wants with it. And I know I'm the one who raised the question of like, what are you going to do with all of this? But I also, I don't know. I'm not trying to like, I'm not trying to be too mamby-pamby here, but people can just do what they want. Like, I'm really, really trying not to judge too much. Like, and I'm not saying I'm good at never judging people, but like people long before we had cameras in our phones were taking photos of special moments so that they could remember them. Family photos. You were literally taking family photos. People love family photos. You're going to cherish those photos at some point. You're going to look back. You're going to maybe be scrolling. Here's how I appreciate photos from the past now. When I'm scrolling back in my phone and I'm looking for something else, like the photo I took of my barber's business card because I need to make an appointment before our trip. And last night I'm scrolling and I can't find the business card photo, but I'm seeing old photos from a while back. And I'm like, oh man. And for some reason, like when you, man, speaking of Meta, I guess the one product I still use is WhatsApp because some of our friends still use WhatsApp to communicate with us. But it's a weird app because once I downloaded it on this phone, it sort of shared with me a bunch of photos, mostly from Bean, but then some other friends who are like kind of live overseas. It sort of downloaded all of my saved photos from that app onto my new phone, whatever, it doesn't matter. But because of that, when I was scrolling yesterday, I saw a photo from like 4 years ago of me and my friend's daughter playing like a video game here in the basement. And I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen her in a long time. The kid I'm talking about, and she's so much older now. She's probably a teenager now. And I love her to death. And it was really sweet to see this photo. And so that's how I experience a lot of nostalgia now going through. So I don't think that as I, have my opinions about people who film entire concerts, take photos. I mean, I guess there are certain things, and this is where I get judgy. And again, I don't have a right to get judgy here, where it sort of seems like, as they say, everything is for the gram. I don't even know if they say that anymore, but like where events are set up specifically in a way, parties or whatever. Genevieve had gone to a party a while back, and I was like, man, it sounds like you're going to an Instagram style party where like everything was like just so in this way. But you know what? That's not for me. But the people who are doing that probably have a lot of fun planning that, like thinking, oh, if we make this little cutesy thing for the charcuterie table or this or whatever, like for them, the journey is getting to that Instagrammable moment. You know what I mean? So, but there are times where I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, are you living life or are you just doing everything so that you can portray
life living you?
Or is life living you? But like, even that's not fair. And I really try not to be that old. That's the old man I don't want to be. Like, I'll take my photos how I want to take my photos, but I don't want to be the old man who's judging other people about how they use their photography or their technology or whatever, although at times it is tempting to do so.
But you did have a lot of thoughts, and you were telling me this off air, about the Gen Z stare, right? You do have thoughts about that.
What is that? I don't know about that.
Oh, don't you play coy with me. It's so funny. So there's this thing that's been kind of bouncing around the internet on TikTok and stuff that now made it into the New York Times today.
Yeah.
There seems to be, millennials, which I guess would be maybe like my daughter's age. My daughter's 31. Folks in that age cohort. A lot of them have been commenting on how they've had kind of an experience with Gen Z, where either, let's say that the millennial person is a server and they come to a table and it's got a bunch of Gen Z folks, or maybe somehow they're interacting with Gen Z, and that they feel that Gen Z does this kind of like almost like a little bit put off stare at them or apoplectic stare.
Oh, interesting. I think I received that the other day.
Instead of the way that maybe our generation might typically brighten up when the server comes over, or when there's this kind of like way that our generation has been trained to interact. But what I think is just amazing is that it's like, this is not the boomers or us Gen Xers or whom. This is not even us. This is not the what I consider to be the actually old people being like, what's with these Gen Zs? It's the millennials being, what's with these Gen Zs? And it's just like, It's the circle of life, man. Somebody hand me a baby lion. I'm going to lift it up because this is the friggin' circle of life.
That is interesting because I sort of received that look the other day. In fact, I've been wanting to tell you this, and I'll try to make it short. Okay, it's just a little anecdote.
This is what I said,
anecdote.
folks. He's got thoughts.
But the thing is, I didn't know of anything called the Gen Z stare. But
I think that was coined about 8 minutes ago.
But what I was associated with was just being a young teenager, like kind of a slack-jawed teenager. I mean, wasn't this what they were putting on Gen X? Like, that's my generation, too. Like, the whole idea of Gen X was, like, slacker. Just like, I don't know, man. I'm not going to, like, get it up and pretend to be all friendly with you. Like, you know what I mean? If you were portraying a Gen Z waiter or server in the 90s, well, it would literally be Jeanine Garofalo, you know, at PJ O'Pootertoots, like dead-eyed, like, you know, that's the Gen Z stare too. Here's my really quick anecdote that I thought you would find interesting. The other day, I can't remember what the situation was, but I decided I wanted to do my Papa Murphy's deal, right? Genevieve was out of town. I think I had not eaten all day or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I'll just do my Papa Murphy's. I'm in the fact that I'm calling it Papa Murphy's and not Papa John's right now just shows you how much I'm learning and really becoming a Papa Murphy's kind of guy. This is the pizza that you pick up. They make it, but you cook it at home. And there's one kind of near me and near the grocery store I go to. I'm like, I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'll pick up a pizza. So I have the app now, the Papa Murphy's app. I open up the app. They have all my information. It's very easy. I'm like, see what a cool young shopper I am now. So I go in.
Getting your Papa points.
I'm
getting a free monkey bread. Sure.
I don't mess with anything off the pizza menu. I don't go off.
You're
menu.
wise too.
I don't need any of that. But
good.
I usually just get like a medium or I guess a large two topping pizza. But anyway, I am going too long here. My apologies. So I open up the app. I place my order, but then I go through all the steps. I choose the stuff, and then I place my order, and the app says not taking orders at this time or some sort of warning like that. I'm like, that's weird. And they say, try another location or calling this location. It's like, what? That's weird. So I just start over. So I'm like, okay, I'll do this one more time. I get to the end. And once again, it's like, order did not go through. There's a problem or something. Try calling or using another location. I'm like, that's really weird. I'm like, okay, then I'll try calling. So I don't look up the number. It's in the app, right? I'm just like, okay, Holman Road location. I click the phone number and the phone starts ringing. Or the phone doesn't start ringing. I get the old-fashioned dial tone. Beep, beep, beep. And I immediately, because I'm an old...
You get a busy signal.
Sorry, a busy signal, the old-fashioned busy signal. And because I'm old, I'm picturing like a phone hanging on a wall and it's off the hook, right? And it's just dangling or whatever. I'm just like a classic, again, Gen X-y kind of image. But anyway, I'm like, that is so weird. They're not taking any orders online for some reason, and I can't get through. And I'm like, you know, this place has been kind of janky, I think, since the pandemic. I remember that the store would just sort of close randomly years ago or whatever. I wonder if like the slack-jawed kid who was in charge or something, just an assumption on my part, just like walked away or something. I'm like, all right, screw it. I'm just not even going to get a pizza. I'm going to go to the grocery store anyway. So.
Slackjack Kid was looking out for your health.
Yes, exactly. Turns out it was my doctor.
I'm just going to go to the salad factory.
Do you know
salad now.
Do you know I literally I had to buy a at-home blood pressure monitor yesterday. That made me feel that you want to talk about taking videos in horizontal. While I'm checking literally my doctor wants me to start keeping records of my blood pressure at home. But anyway, so I had to go to Fred Meyer and ask a young person where the at-home blood pressure monitors are. All of that is to say, I go to the grocery store, which is in the same parking lot as this Papa Murphy's, and I see that the Papa Murphy's is lit up and it's got a big open sign there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to walk in here. What the hell is going on? Why can't I order online and why is it a busy signal? So I go, I walk towards the door and I see from afar that there's a hand-scrawled sign on the door. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. What does this hand-scrawled sign say? And I get close to it and the place is open and I see people inside, but the sign says, we are only taking cash at this time. So I'm like, oh, okay, so something's down. So I go in, and you want to talk about whether it's a Gen X or Gen Z stare. I mean, it is like a sir, don't harass the box, kind of Simpsons kid. He's just like, he just looks like he's not rude. I want to be very clear. He's not rude. And I might have already been a little bit like old. I might have been a little bit like coming in with some dad energy anyway, just being like, why could I not order from this place that has the lights on? And so I walk to the desk and he just like stares at me and I'm like, hey, do you know that like I can't order online? He's like, yeah, we're only taking cash right now. And then like it was one of those things where I was like, oh, right. You can't pay cash with the app. You know what I mean? I guess maybe I was kind of like, well, I can place the order and then pay with cash or whatever. But of course, the technology isn't there. So whatever. I'm like, oh, so suddenly I make the connection. But I'm like flustered now. I'm having a real Bob Walsh moment, a real like kind of dad. That's my dad, like very dad energy moment. And so I said, okay, well, I'll just, can I just order it from you? He's like, yeah, if you got cash. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So now I'm trying to recreate the order that I placed. And I'm like, which one was
like, what? Can I ask?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember because I remember it got slightly awkward because it's like small, medium, and large, but on the app it was like something inch, 12-inch, and 14-inch, I want to say. And I know that Genevieve wasn't there, so I wanted whatever the medium one was. But I asked the question in the wrong way, and I kind of said, well, what is your like 12-inch one? And he's like, and he like stares at me. And he's like, I don't, and he kind of looks at the menu, and he's like, I don't know what the inches are. And he's like, he's not as rude. I'm kind of geared up for him to be rude. I think he's just honest. And again, not going to like pretend like he cares about this conversation more than he does, but not outwardly rude. And I realize I'm probably coming in with a little bit more. But anyway, I think I would usually get like pepperoni and olives, I think. But I think in this case, Genevieve wasn't home, so I put some sausage on there too, which, by the way, I don't think I would get sausage again from Papa Murphy's. It's like crumbled on there. It's not good sausage topping for whatever it's worth, but that's what I was getting. So I was getting like a medium pizza with those three toppings on it, I think. Or no, maybe pepperoni, mushroom, and sausage. I think that's what I got as a kid. So I was trying to recreate that maybe experience. But anyway, he was so just slack-jawed with, oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm missing the whole point of this, Luke. I go in and I say, your app isn't working. He's like, yeah. And I said, but when it said to call and I called and I just got a busy signal. And he looks at me. He's like, yeah, the phone doesn't work. Like he said, the phone doesn't work. It's like
it was
why would I expect the phone to work? And then I said, and this
You're
is
like,
again,
did you get my carrier pigeon?
Right. He was just like, yeah, the phone doesn't work. And I was like, oh. And then I did like, I think I just paused for a second. He said, yeah, the whole place is falling apart. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, what is your 12? It was fine. And like, like the kid was fine.
Then
but
he starts crying. Papa Murphy went out for a pack of cigarettes.
Papa Murphy was a Rolling Stone.
Show title.
Show title. So that was too long of a story, but I do think that I experienced the Gen Z stare there. It was not rude, but it also wasn't, I am here to make your day better.
Or it is of the highest concern to me that I manage how you're feeling about this interaction, which is kind of what I think giving face is a lot of the time for people, and particularly for a lot of people who are women. It's like this unfortunate idea that it's like we need people to constantly be letting us. I mean, I'm of two minds on it. One is nobody should have to like be managing my feelings around how they're presenting. Like that's like I should have a stable enough personality that I can go through my day without everyone having to smile at me. On the other hand, it's also nice when people smile at each other or are pleasant to each other. So I don't want to be so kind of non-judgy that I'm acting like the world would be better if everyone was just staring around slack-jawed, dead-eyed, not smiling, because that means that none of us are feeling pressure to be a certain way around other people. Like, I both don't want people to feel pressure, but I also do think it's nice when we are as nice to each other as we can be. And as pleasant to each other as we can be,
Yeah, I've been thinking about that because one of these people that I was having drinks with the other day who forced me to buy their round,
the cheapskates,
just moved up from Dallas and had lived in other places before, but not tons of other places. And this is her first time living in the Pacific Northwest, and she's head over heels with Seattle so far, having been here maybe a week or two, but did say that there's a big difference in the way people talk, and it kind of bums her out. Like, people just don't seem friendly. And I said, well, what does that mean? I hear that a lot. And she was just kind of giving examples of kind of maybe what we're talking about here, and just maybe just like bumping into people at the grocery store or whatever store they're in, and just kind of like saying like a friendly hello and just getting a sort of a like a very leveled, non-friendly response back. And I was like, I've lived here for a long time, and I'm somebody who's bad with eye contact anyway, and so maybe Seattle's just sort of my city. But I also like being a friendly person, and I've been sort of like thinking about that and sort of looking around Seattle and looking at how people interact with me, and seeing if I can see what she's seeing with people not being as friendly. And then I was at the grocery store, and I got to say, I am somebody who is so obsessed with other people understanding their personal space and having personal awareness, which is like in the grocery store is terrible. I don't know if this is a regional thing or just a human being thing. And also, I just get too much in my head and judging other people on this. But like, people will just like take up the entire aisle of a grocery store. They'll put their cart on one side and then stand on the other side and just block the aisle, and not even acknowledge you while you're standing there. And you have to say, "Excuse me," and then they'll look at you. And sometimes I'm looking like, are they wearing earbuds? Like, are they? I just think that they just don't care. And because of that, I try to take a lot of care in like kind of the space I'm taking up. And I was looking for something in an aisle the other day that I simply could not find, and it was driving me bananas. So I'm doing that thing where my cart is kind of stopped somewhere in the aisle, but pushed over to the side. And I'm walking up and down the aisle looking for this lemonade powder, and walking up and down, can't find it. I'm probably there for like 4 or 5 minutes. And then at one point I come over and I see that a woman is grabbing some like Coke or Diet Coke or something right where my cart is. And there's even a possibility that she had to move my cart. I'm not sure, but I always feel bad about that. So I come up and I'm like, "Oh man, I'm really sorry about my cart." No response. And I said, and this is a woman who's, I don't know, maybe she's like my age, maybe slightly older or something. And I said, "I'm sorry, was I in your way?" And no response. I'm like, "Okay, I'll move it." And then she said, "No worries." And just kind of walked away.
Oh, no.
And I was
no
like,
worries.
yeah, first of all, no worries or whatever, but it was like she was simply not going to respond. When I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was in your way," I don't know if she was like a little bit ticked off at me that she had to move my cart. If she had to move my cart, she definitely was not wearing headphones of any sort. Maybe she wasn't wearing Ray-Bans that were taping everything. Like, I'm pretty sure. Like, I was just like a little bit like, wow, this woman was just like accepting my apology or not, but like would not like kind of finally, it makes it sound like I was trying to make her talk like a Bond villain or something, but it was just like, it was so weird how she just had made up her mind. She was not going to like say anything to me when all I was saying was, "Sorry if I'm in your way." And I was like, man, maybe this is what my friend was vibing.
Yeah, I do think that, well, first of all, I think it's case by case, because you can have lots of great interactions in the Northwest with folks, but I do think that the default setting in the Northwest is not to be as chatty as it is in other places. I just remember at being a kid growing up in Seattle and being mortified at how much my mom talked to other people.
Oh, because she's not from here.
She's from Philly. And then I remember eventually going to Philadelphia and meeting my extended family and seeing people and being like, "Oh, this is why she's this way. This is how everybody is here." If you're in line in the store, you will just chat with the person who's in line near you. That would be a totally normal thing. And you're certainly going to chat with the checkout person. And like, you're kind of moving through the world. I've seen versions of that in the South where it's just kind of, like you're just kind of shooting the shit with people. It's just it's an expected thing, and it's not weird. And the problem that happens in a place like Seattle where it doesn't happen as much is that then the only time it happens, it's weird.
Or it could be, if the other person is in the other mindset.
It's just not happening very much. And so it's like, if that happens to you once in a week, it's like it could be potentially an extreme moment. If it happens everywhere you go, if everyone's just like, "Some weather we're having, and boy, did you see that Cowboys game, or did you see that Eagles game, or what, who knows?" Like, the more that it happens, the more normalized it is, then the less stress there is around it. But when it's happening on an infrequent basis, it's like, it's a whole event. Like, "Oh my God, I talked to somebody at the store. It was, we talked about Hunt's crushed tomatoes.
She looked at me.
And if you should do the fire roasted kind or not." Like,
I kind of had that yesterday. I was at Fred Meyer, which is a much bigger store. For people who don't know, we've talked about it a lot. And
I don't feel about their branding with those like kind of like plastic figures that are often like dropping it like it's hot. I think I'm into it. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I don't know if I know the drop it like it's hot one, but I like those little
like apple bottom jeans.
Wait, we're talking about the ones that look like almost like little Playmobil characters or something.
Yeah, they had a lot of TV commercials where they were doing, the commercial was basically that the prices were low, but it was Shorty Got Low, apple bottom jeans with the boots with the fur, which I thought was hilarious. Like, they wanted the part about the prices being low
Right.
But I was like, you're just banking on a lot of people not knowing the other lyrics to that song.
Right. Yeah. Or not caring. But
not caring.
I
That's
do
another.
like,
That's another thing.
I don't know if I've seen that particular one, or if so, it didn't really strike me. I kind of like the cute visuals of that. It evokes grocery shopping to me. But I will just say that I had 2 interactions with employees at Fred Meyer. I am such, as I tell these stories, I just sound like such a handful. But I really try not to ask for help in a grocery store, because sometimes it's not helpful. And also, you got to go up to somebody and they're shelving something, and I really don't want to pull them away from that. But I had 2 interactions with 2 different employees at Fred Meyer yesterday, because I couldn't find 2 things I really needed over the course of maybe 20 or 25 minutes of shopping. And I will say, both of these people, who were, significantly younger than me, could not have been nicer or more helpful.
Yeah.
Like, both of them were just like, oh, great. Like, the first person said, you found the right person. I know exactly where those are. And both of them stopped what they were doing and walked with me. And the second person walked quite away. I kept saying, like, you don't have to walk. You've described it to me. He's like, I don't mind. And then he started, what I was looking for this time was your Bubby's sauerkraut. I couldn't find the Bubby's sauerkraut.
I got to get some more of that.
And he starts telling me, and he starts telling me how I was actually referring to you. I said, oh, my buddy loves this stuff. He eats it out of the jar. He's like, oh, my sister-in-law, same deal. Like, anyway. And he was just like, at a certain point, we found the Bubbies, and I had to start like kind of backing away from him a little bit. I'm like, thank you, I really appreciate it. But like, so I just want to say that, like, while I was complaining about that somewhat terse woman, you still have some really great interactions, especially with employees who are like sitting there, like they don't have to be that friendly, and I really appreciated it.
I will say that that's one thing about living in kind of small town America is my experience when I go into a store, whether it's a grocery store or Home Depot, the many folks that work there or whatever, honestly, the folks are pretty nice out here. I don't know what the politics are. I don't know what the kind of, sort of priorities are for folks. And I'm talking about all ages. Like, I feel like the number of bad customer service experiences that I have out here are pretty limited, honestly. Like, and there's like a small grocery store I go to in the closer town, which just doesn't have very much stuff, but the people that work there are super friendly and nice. Like, I feel like my in-person retail or shopping experience, at least around here, is generally pretty good. It's when I get online or when I'm trying to send luggage back, Andrew. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow.
I was going to say, or when you don't quite have the measurements done for your counter or whatever. Remember that whole thing about like the guy came out and they were charging you to send him out again?
Yes,
and it was like a 5-minute
cool.
difference or something like that.
Yes, that was rough. That was rough stuff.
Like
but
forever ago.
Lest we paint, and even the Papa Murphy's that's down in town that I do. Although, Andrew, and yes, you've made it, everyone. If you're still listening, congratulations. You've made it to Crust Talk. First of all, I got a pizza dough recipe from our friend Television's Chris Hayes. I knew exactly who to ask. Like, this is a man with a pizza oven, presumably.
Oh,
and I was like, do you have like a pizza dough that you really like? And he was like, I'm on my way to make some right now, actually. And then just sent me the link. So I'm going to definitely tonight, I'm going to make a pizza or 2. And I'm going to watch the All-Star game. I'm very excited about this. But the thing I was going to say about Papa Murphy's is my issue is, and maybe, I don't know, would this be like lame or cheating if I were to buy a Papa Murphy's pizza and then just make it in my outdoor propane pizza
That's
oven?
Interesting. I know. Why?
I guess it would turn out, because here's been my issue with Papa Murphy's. I can't seem, and I get the thin crust to try to adjust for this. I cannot seem to get the crust crispy enough. Fully, it'll be cooked in the middle. Like, it's not raw. That's gross. But it's not like how you get it from a pizza place. And after like the 3rd or 4th time, because I also live kind of far away from pizza places. So for a while, I thought Papa Murphy's is the answer. I bring it out here and then I cook it. So it's not traveling from the pizza place for hours and hours to get to me. I can never get the crust cooked right. What is your secret?
Well, this is interesting. So I think maybe, and I know that I've been really painting myself as Mr. North Papa Murphy's, but I'm thinking maybe since I started using Papa Murphy's about 6 months ago, maybe we've gotten it 5 times tops. The first time I was very happy with it. I came home and I followed the instructions exactly how it was. First of all, I should mention that we might have different taste in pizza as well. I get the medium crust,
right?
And so that's
the regular kind,
it's kind of the regular medium. Yeah, it's not. They have a deep dish that didn't look right.
Yeah, you don't want that.
And the thin, like I'll eat a thin crust, but that whatever. I like kind of a buttery crust, so I get the medium kind. And it says to put it not directly on the rack. It comes in its own like paper tray,
which
sort
seems weird to me that that's the cooking tray.
Yeah, but so I think, and it gives you quite a long kind of window of time. And so the first time I made it, I don't know, I put it in, I followed the instructions. I don't even know if I let it sit out to room temperature. I didn't remember that being a part of the process that Genevieve pointed out to me later. First one came out really well for me. I don't know, I just kind of kept an eye on it and took it out when it looked like it was melted. The next two, Genevieve was in charge of, not to throw her under the bus, but she's like, if this is good normally, why don't I put it on the pizza stone and do that? That'll make it even better.
Yeah.
Terrible. It was a bad.
What happened?
I don't know. Like the pizza stone, maybe it didn't get. I don't know what it was, but it was soggy. It was like pizza in a cup. It was so soggy.
Oh, he ran the other pizza in a cup guy out of business.
I saw something in the grocery store recently that was very close to pizza in a cup. And then anyway, and then the next one, Genevieve put it on for like kind of, I think the range is like 12 to 16 minutes or something. I think she put it right in the middle at like 14 or 15, and it was burnt. And so this last one that I did, I was like, well, I'll just take it out at the 12-minute mark. And like, for me, it was good. I just put it, again, sort of directly on the rack, but in their little paper thing.
Do you take it off
minutes.
of the thing for a few minutes at the end, or are you cooking it off of that little cooking thing the whole time? The little paper it comes with. Is the pizza ever on that when it's cooking, or?
Yeah, they say to cook it on the paper. So
but then they also say to take it off the paper at the end if you want to crispy your crust. That's what they say with the thin crust.
I don't know.
You know how they have the directions in the saran wrap?
Yeah, I don't think my directions said to do
maybe
that.
It's
or
different
if so,
for thin crust.
Or I'm just such a. And again, like I know that I have very lowbrow tastes in pizza, so I just don't know if I'm the right person to have this conversation with. Maybe I saw it and ignored it and just thought it was fine, but I don't know.
Well, because I was always trying to like do this thing where like I'm taking it. They're like, if you want an extra crispy crust, which to me would just bring it up to a normal level because it was not cooking all the way through. It's like take it off of the little paper cooking tray for the last like 5 minutes or something. So I was trying that, and it wasn't seeming to work. I don't know. But
I don't know.
I got
throw it in your pizza oven. I love it. Again, I was thinking. I
had to buy a food scale, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Do you have a food scale?
Yeah, Genevieve's got one.
Well, because to make this dough, I've got to actually like weigh it a little bit and stuff. Yeah. So I didn't have that. I had to go to Target and get one of those. So
I've literally never made dough before. I mean, of course, I've seen Genevieve do it. Flour?
I've never made dough before. That's not true. Maybe a long time ago, not recently. So this is going to be a major. It's going to be a major situation here, a major experiment.
Who made the dough for the pizzas you had? Did your siblings make
Safeway.
it? Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
No, it was just like like refrigerated dough that you can buy in the deli of Safeway. It's like in a plastic bag. And there was speculation that might have contributed to some of the challenges because first of all, it was whole wheat, which might kind of operate differently than the regular stuff. And it's just like it was totally fine, but I have a feeling that actually these pizzas that I make today are going to be worse because I've never made dough before. So I have a feeling that like I need to probably do the dough a bunch of times before I learn how to do it. So this is going to maybe be like one step back.
Yeah, but that's good though. But if you're like, but I'm going to stick with this. Like I'm actually
I told you, man.
Honestly,
it
kind of makes me want to that I don't know, that really I love that you're loving your oven so much.
Ooh.
And again, I love that you're loving your oven.
I'm loving your oven. Also a possible show title. Loving your oven.
Sincerely, I do. Like, and also the fact that you wanted this thing for so long, and also then you talking about making dough. It's like, because I have occasionally, like very, very rarely, like I don't know, twice in my life, have maybe bought one of those boboli things or one of those pre-made little crusts and be like, I'm just gonna go home and make myself a little pizza night. But it'd be way more satisfying and probably not. Certainly not outside of your and I skill set to make dough or learn how to make a decent dough.
No, I don't think it's that hard after you do it a few times. I think I did start reading into the comments on this one, and then I got a little nervous. Like it looks very straightforward, and it's listed as it's like from the New York Times, like easy pizza dough or something. Yeah. And then like the third comment is a guy going, I'm doing the exact directions, and then it just won't rise, and then I can't get it. And I was like, "That's going to be me. I'm going to be that guy." Because there's like a whole, it's sort of a live thing, right? So there's like it appears, and I've only scanned it this morning, but it appears that it's like you make it, then there's some different temperature changes, which allows like you put it in the fridge, which lets it, then it doubles in size, and then you bring it up to a certain temperature, then you roll it out, and so like there are some steps to it. But I would just love. Also, what I like about it is it's not a lot of ingredients. It looks like it's flour and water, basically, which even if it's pizza dough, I'm trying to, as much as I can, eat stuff that doesn't have 8 million ingredients in it. And I feel like, if I could get to where I could like throw a quick pizza dough together and then put it in the oven and then make a kind of a yummy, tasty little pizza, that could be a dinner. That just seems like a superpower to me. If that could be a regular part of my life. So I'm on the journey.
It's funny how wrong I was. I said, well, what? I said, what is pizza dough? Like just like flour and eggs? And I guess there are no eggs in pizza dough.
Are there not? Are you checking?
I don't know. You said flour and water, which got
I know,
me
but I told you I
embarrassed.
only scanned the recipe.
Well, it says here now. This is the AI.
There's probably eggs
it says AI says no. I wrote, do you use eggs to make pizza dough? And the AI says no. Traditional pizza does not typically contain eggs, but some doughs do, right? Some doughs do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Some doughs do. Let me just tell you what's in this particular easy pizza dough recipe, which of course I have to. Even though I subscribe to the New York Times on this computer, Andrew, I have to illegally run this article through like a Romanian website to read it, even though I'm paying them. Here we go. This pizza dough. Here are the ingredients. The ingredients are 2 teaspoons of dry active yeast, 4.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's it.
Nice.
So pretty simple
very,
stuff.
Very simple. And you don't probably not, especially if you're trying to make a healthier crust. Would there ever be a moment where you like brush butter on the crust?
Oh, sure. No, I'm very pro butter these days. Like in certain ways, I've never eaten worse than I do now. In the sense of like I'm just like I'm just like, oh, is it butter? Is it cheese? Is it what I consider a real food? Which maybe you could argue cheese is a stretch, but like I'm like all about it. Like,
yeah, so that's part of is that something you did this weekend? I'm just asking because I sort of feel like I can see
I
like
didn't
a Pizza
do
Hut
that this
commercial
weekend,
or something where they're brushing.
But I wouldn't be
butter
against
on
that.
it. Yeah,
I would
okay.
not be against that at all. By the way, I think I'm going to be a lot like Samir, who's the 4th commenter on this recipe. When I take the dough out of the refrigerator after step 4, it's very cold and does not rise at all in 30 minutes. Does anyone have suggestions for how to warm it up, or should I just leave it out for much longer? 76 thumbs ups. I don't know what that means.
Any responses though? Anybody? Nobody? You can't like. Can you respond directly to somebody on that?
I don't know if I can because I don't. Here's the problem, Andrew. I don't pay enough. I don't pay enough for the New York Times to have the cooking stuff. I only pay for the news, and it's really annoying because I don't even know. It might be like $3 more a month, but it just seemed to me I don't get the athletic and I don't get the cooking in the New York Times.
I'm kind of shocked.
I'm
we
paying
get that
for like
stuff.
the
I didn't
a
know,
la carte.
I didn't know that you could. I didn't know that you could do that. And usually it would be opposite. Usually it would be me who's kind of like, well, I can read the New York Times, but I have to pause for a commercial every.
Dude,
every
I also have Netflix commercials, which it's literally that I don't know how to change that. And it's the worst because I'll be watching something that's very emotionally impactful. I'll be watching My Octopus Teacher, and then it'll just be like, Fred Meyer with weekly sales. How shorty got low, 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 low. Hey, Andrew, you know what? I'll make a video of the entire pizza process with my glasses today and send it to you.
Okay, good. Actually, are you being serious? I mean, we could use that as the newsletter content, but no pressure. It's my turn to do that.
Well, let's see how it goes. No. You got a lot going on this week.
I don't mind, but yeah, if you're doing it anyway, send it along and we'll throw
see
it
if
in.
It works.
But
okay,
if it adds more work to something, and if it makes something like your time at home, something that was supposed to be fun and relaxing, feel like work, don't do it.
I'll read the room, which is to say myself.
Yes.
when I get to that point.
Yeah.
But I'll probably send you a picture because, man, when that pizza's cooking in that flaming thing, literally my whole family started applauding when we put the first pizza in. It's very dramatic, actually, because you got it's all this fire and stuff. It's very exciting. So
the fact that you were playing that song from what is the German song from never mind.
Thus Spake Zarathustra.
Yes, exactly.
From 2001.
Couldn't think of the name of the movie or the song or the actors or the performers. So thank you.
We got there. That German song narrows it down. It's either that or something by David Hasselhoff.
Exactly. Or the song that was in that V-dub commercial with the two guys who got the couch.
Da da da
da da. That feels Germanic to me. All right.
I think so. I've decided I'm just going to call them V-dubs, and then I don't have to grapple with if it's Volkswagen or Volkswagen.
That's a smart
move. If I go V-dub, it's just Even Luke's can't mess that up.
Okay, listen. I was going to start the music rolling, but I am looking at our timer. We are at 1 hour and 53 minutes. So
been a while since we've done a 2-hour
yes,
jobber.
And honestly, I don't have
7 minutes.
I don't have a lot to say about this, but you had mentioned Cal Raleigh at the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah,
I did watch the home run derby last night, but I watched it at the bar with the sound down. So my experience was very different. I'd really like to hear just more your thoughts on.
Well, okay. The first thing was I was not even watching it in real time because some friends of Becca's who are now my friends were going to go out on their boat, and we were invited, and I felt like it would be a fun thing to do, and I wanted to see Becca, and I also thought to say I'm going to skip that because I want to watch the home run derby when I already give so much of my brain space to the Mariners, and I'm gone so much. I just thought that'd be a poor showing from old LB. And then I completely forgot that the derby was happening, and then I get a Seattle Times push notification literally as we're getting off the boat and I'm walking back to my car, and it's like I just see Cal Raleigh, and I'm like, oh my God, I think he won it. And then I check on the criminals, and everyone's like kind of excited. And so then I was like, well, how do I watch this? Because I could have DVR'd it if I would have been smart, but I didn't even think to do that. Because what is it on, Fox or something?
It was on ESPN. That's one of the reasons Vives and I went to that sports bar near our house, because first of all, that's good bar watching. You know, it's kind of classic good bar watching. But also it's like, I was like, oh, I guess I can't. I've been spoiled with the services I pay for. I haven't bootlegged a sporting event in so long. I forgot that I could even bootleg it if needed.
Right.
So I was like, let's just go to the Vibe and watch it there. Yeah. It was.
Well,
ESPN.
I got home, and then I was like, well, I have, as has been much discussed on the show, I was like, well, I have Fubo, and I have all those channels, but it's actually shockingly hard, or it was impossible for me to find just a rebroadcast of it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like on any of them, nobody was like, it hadn't been turned into on-demand content. And so what was on YouTube was basically every home run Cal Raleigh hit. So it was like a specific, I could not get anyone who was just showing the whole darn thing from start to finish. But there was a lot of versions of, and this is official MLB content, right? This is not just somebody chopping it up. This is being put out by Major League Baseball, but it was like Cal Raleigh wins home run derby, every home run by Cal Raleigh. So what I ended up watching was that, which, it was, first of all, it was just so fun to see a Mariner, and particularly Cal Raleigh, do well and prosper. I would have liked to have seen the other people too, and so that was a little bit of a bummer. But overall, it was a very enjoyable experience because A, I knew he was going to win, and B, just the whole thing of his dad throwing him the pitches and his little brother kind of becoming this like breakout. So what you probably didn't hear because you didn't have the audio was the ESPN announcers basically fell in love with Cal Raleigh's 15-year-old brother who was catching.
He was 15.
Did you hear any of this?
Well, no, I didn't see it, but it was clear that they were first. I knew that Cal Raleigh's dad was going to be his pitcher because I had just known that his dad had pitched to him growing up or whatever. So I was already kind of dialed into that and looking forward to it. I didn't know his brother was going to be behind the plate catching. And then when we picked up on that, we knew it was his little brother, but we were trying to figure out the age. We had him at like 18. I said 18 to 20. That kid is 15 years old. My goodness.
Yeah. It's a big boy.
Yes.
He's 15 years old, and what happened was he was like the hype man keeping the whole operation going. The brother was. So he was like encouraging the dad with the pitches. He was like, when Cal would take a pitch, he'd be like, good take. Like he was like the most vocal member of the three. And like then the ESPN announcers started locked into that, and they started being like, this kid is actually really helping in the process. And I was just, all I could think was, and then in the post-game interview when it's like Jeff Passan or whoever, who's that like weird man-child that's like the ESPN baseball announcer? He's like a 70-year-old man trapped in the body of a 23-year-old man who's probably a 40-year-old man. I think it's probably Jeff Passan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know the name Jeff Passan. I don't know if I've ever seen
Jeff Passan. He's an uncannily young-looking, middle-aged adult man.
Yeah, you know what? I might have seen him once before, but I didn't realize it was him because I think I got out of the restroom or something when the All-Star games were here in Seattle. I was at some event, and I left the restroom, and I think my buddy, when we got out, was like, that was Jeff Passan or something. But I was like, oh wow. I didn't know that. Yeah,
he's taken the Bob Costas mantle of sort of like a adult man who looks very boyish but knows a lot about sports.
Was he wearing like a weirdly kind
burgundy
of a weird
suit?
That's Jeff Passan.
I believe that's.
I
Jeff
had
Passan.
a lot of thoughts on. Vives and I had a lot of conversation about him. He does have an interesting look, and I didn't know. I've heard that man on the radio so many times. I didn't know that was him. Yeah, he has a strange look.
I mean, it's weird because he's very youthful.
Yeah,
he's very youthful, but it's almost like he's almost buttoning. He's almost buttoning. He almost looks like he's getting younger somehow, but he's
Yeah, interesting.
So,
well, now I feel like I'm being cruel talking about his looks, but he definitely had an interesting look. And you know what, though? I'm looking at other photos of him online, and I do recognize this face. There was something about the way he was made up yesterday that's like the part in his hair was very, like it was a, did you remember the part in his hair? It looked like
I don't know if
from
I
a
remember
different
that part.
time. It was a
so to
strange
speak.
sort of hairdo. Anyway, go ahead.
So then the announcer, it just became such a fun subplot because the announcers are just kind of like, man, Cal Raleigh's little brother is just like actually critical to this operation, which who knows if that was a bit of an overstatement, but it was just a fun narrative. And then just again, to finally see like a Mariner actually win this thing and to like, just like the whole thing was really, really great. And then afterwards, I think Jeff Passan, as he's interviewing Cal, and Cal actually was like, I think of Cal Raleigh as being perpetually trapped inside that lottery commercial.
Yeah.
Like he's like one of the bad guys in Superman 2 who's put in that glass, confined to float in space for the rest of time. Like so when I see Cal Raleigh not being that way, it's always a surprise to me. Like he was actually kind of pretty voluble and like, I mean, he was stoked. He just won the home run derby, but he also just was like, he seemed a way more normal and like talkative than he does in a lot of press avails that I see him on. And then they asked his brother. So they talked to the dad. The dad was really adorable. Dream come true, all that stuff. They talked to Cal, and then the final one they talked to is the brother, and they go, what were you seeing back there from the catcher's position? And the kid just pauses, and he just goes, greatness.
Aww.
And that was it. That was the whole post game.
That was cool.
The whole post.
That's what I wanted to hear because I did not hear any of that. Again, like the camera, I was able to pick up enough
kid.
on the
like,
narrative.
Talk about meeting the moment.
No,
what
kidding.
A line.
Absolutely, that's great. And I just I was at, a few beers in at the end of this thing. I just was yelling, just like keep the camera on Dad. I just want to see Dad here. But again, we didn't have the volume on. Now, there's one small thing you might not realize if this is how you experienced it.
Was there a controversy?
I don't know if this was a controversy or not. Oh, well, yes. There was.
I saw something later on TikTok about, I think it was, who was the other? Did Cal like almost statistically tie someone and then win by like a hair of stat?
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up. But when you brought up a controversy, there was another thing. This is unrelated to Cal. I'll come back to that in a second because that's more interesting. But also, one of the other participants, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Caminero or something. One of the people catching, they have people playing the field to like kind of catch the balls that don't go out.
Yeah.
One of the kids stole a home run from someone. It wasn't Cal.
No
the kid, talk about not meeting the moment. He just didn't have the awareness and was just like, they're out there. There's like, oh, this one's mine. This one's mine. The kid,
also, sign him up.
The kid kind of hopped the wall a little bit, caught it right. I think it would have hit the yellow.
It was from Caminero.
Are you so? Am I right? Because again, no volume. I was just sort of watching. So yeah, I think that kid stole a home run. That's got to be. I feel bad for that kid because I'm sure, and he was probably. I say kid. I'm guessing teenager or young adult. But like, you're just out there. You're on national TV, and you just are probably. You're already into the second round of this thing. You're not thinking as clearly, and you see a ball and you go to catch it because your job is to catch the balls. But my dude, you can't reach up and steal a home run during the home run derby.
Dude, I'm watching that.
Yeah,
that's wild.
So that was controversy number one,
and nobody figured this out. Like in the
no volume on, so I'm just watching. I'm watching. So it was Caminero. You're saying that. So I saw him.
Caminero's 15 home runs in the final round fell short as Raleigh edged him out with 18.
So I guess it doesn't matter there. Anyway.
I mean, kind of, but you also wonder. I mean,
he seemed upset in the middle of it. Like he took his break after that, and you could see him like kind of pointing or whatever. But again, I think most people know that this is just a game amongst games. You know what I mean? It means really nothing. It's just a good time for everybody to.
I mean,
get
kind
along,
of, but then. But do you also saw that thing I sent? Have you seen that video of Cal Raleigh when he's like 12 doing a little happy dance and saying he's going to win the home run derby, which is pretty cool?
That was all
so
over the
that's
place,
crazy.
so-
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
But then what was the thing about him being in a statistical dead heat, but he had like, if you took it out to the 74th decimal place, it was Cal Raleigh.
This is my understanding of it. The first round was not it was not like kind of mano a mano matchups. It was just like the first round was all 8 players went, and the people with the top
highest
4 players with the most home runs advance, and then you get this sort
which
of
is actually a
bracket
good
thing.
way to do it,
Yeah,
because it would
it
suck
worked out
if
pretty
you
well.
just went up against a beast and they hit 22 home runs and you hit 20 and you were eliminated just because you happened to face off with them.
Yeah, and the rules are different this year. I think that's a change. I think last year it would have. I think in the previous years it was like kind of a bracket system from the beginning. But at the bar, somebody said that they changed the rule, because I was like, it's weird that they're changing the rules. You used to earn bonus time, but this time you earned bonus out, if that makes sense. So, and I was like, that's new. And it seems weird, like, because everybody, you are kind of going for the record potentially. Like, who is it? Oh my goodness, I can't believe of course I can believe I can't remember his name, but who's the Vladdy Jr. I think has the home run record.
I didn't
of
even know
all
that, so don't feel
time.
bad.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think Julio has the single round record, and I think that Vladdy has the actual total across the whole Derby record. It doesn't matter. All of that is to say, I was sort of like, boy, if you're playing with different rules each year, somebody at the bar said they change up the rules a little bit every year. I don't know if that's true or not. They definitely changed them from this year, and it sort of seems a little bit weird that you're still like, well, can you compare that to Vladdy's record then? If the rules are different, right?
Right.
But the way it worked yesterday, and to get to your point after all this blabber, is top 4 people with the most home runs advance. Well, the top 3 were like 21 home runs, 21 home runs, 20 home runs, and then 2 people had 17 home runs, and Cal was one of those people. And who did he edge out? Was that Rooker, I want to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so they both, Vives and I are like, again, we can't hear the announcements, so we're like, I don't know what's going on. We can't hear the announcers. Who is going to make it in? And then we see that Cal advanced and Rooker didn't. So I go to like Blueski, and God bless the listener who told us to call it Blueski. I'm sorry I can't remember your name.
Yeah, that's really thank
Chime
you.
in, because you are a hero. And
longest
apparently
homer.
it was like, well, to the tiebreaker is going to be the length of the home run. And somebody on Blueski said that it was measured within 1/10 of a foot. That's how Cal eked him out.
470 feet, 470.61 feet. So that'd be 470 feet and 61 inches. Wait, 61 inches is... I don't know what .61 means, but then 470.53.
So, okay,
whatever,
there you go. Yeah.
So whatever 61 is versus 53 after the 470 feet. And by the way, no offense, but that is all of that, like those like distance things, are very squishy numbers.
Exactly, because you have fans. By the way, Genevieve's brother briefly on the broadcast, because he lives in Atlanta, and he was he was sending us kind of photos. He was excited to be there.
He was at the game,
and he
TBTL donor Zach.
He told us where he was. He was at a place called the Chop House, which has an unfortunate name if you know why it's called the Chop House. But he told us he was there, and then I can't remember who hit the ball right there. But Genevieve's like, "Wait, that's the Chop House," and then she's like, "That's him, that's him, that's him." And I don't think that I can say for sure that I had eyes on him, but Genevieve is exactly where he said he was going to be standing. But my point is, everybody's scrambling for these balls. Like, it's chaos out there. How are you measuring that within 1/10 of a foot?
It does feel, though, like, and this is where the thing about sports is, anytime something happens that's questionable that benefits my team, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, right.
Versus when it benefits the other team, I'm absolutely I'm at loose ends. Like every time a Mariner pitcher gets a pitch called a strike that's not in the strike zone, I'm just like, yeah, well, it's evening out.
Yeah.
And every time a Mariner batter, a strike is called on them that's not a strike, I'm like, robot umps now, robot umps forever. So like, this feels like the kind of thing that, and because I do this insanity, which is like, I see the Yankees coming back from 5-0 and destroying Brian Wu's no-hitter as somehow spiritually connected to Donald Trump deporting people without due process. It feels like it's connected in that the bad people are winning. The bad people just keep getting W's. It's just that it's it's and you just keep thinking it has to, we flip the coin 1,000 times. It just keeps landing on heads. It's got to regress to the mean. We, the good people of the world, have to get some W's now and then. It just feels like it never. So I would have absolutely believed that this could have been inverted, where they, for some reason, give Brent Rooker this totally arbitrary. Let's be honest. This is a completely arbitrary decision about who hit the furthest home run. If both home runs were, let's just say, 470-ish feet. So the idea that it went for us, though, is just like, oh, thank goodness. We finally got one, Andrew. We finally got one.
I was really hoping, though, because I wanted to destroy your analogy, if Cal had beaten out like a Latin player with that, because that would have been like, wait, no,
Right.
you would have wanted one of the Latin contestants, or
Right,
players
exactly.
to
Like
win,
if he
but-
beat out a Venezuelan player,
Right,
like,
exactly.
There's a whole sort of layer to the whole thing.
Right, but
like,
I think Raleigh and Rooker are both like white guys from the States, right?
I believe so. Rooker was an A for. Is he still an A? He was an A for a long time. And
I don't know if I don't think I knew who he was or remembered who he was until last night.
When the A's would have these teams that would be batting like 40, like .040, and then somehow it'd be like Brent Rooker would just be going hog wild on us. He'd be giving us the Altuve treatment.
Right.
So it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm looking at this. They basically. The number, this is the thing I saw on TikTok too. It's like they have the home run, the length of the home run is broken down this way. 470, that's the feet, dot. This is Brent Rooker, 470 dot 5351740593. Here is Cal Raleigh, 470 dot 61714524141. I guess the only part that matters is the first two numbers after the decimal. So that's where we get that 61 versus 53.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, it's like, give me a brark.
I know.
Like,
I mean,
if you could figure this out to that degree of specificity.
I was actually just hoping that they would let that, create a tie-breaking
A fight
round
to the death.
because then
have
we
their
get
dads fight. Give each dad a fungo bat and see who survives.
As Genevieve always says, break a cue stick in half and hand one to each of them.
Yeah.
No, that'd be more baseball, right? If they even turned to each other and said, "Oh, we could get more baseball out of this or more home run derby," but I guess they're on a schedule or whatever, so they couldn't do that. But it would have been fun for everybody if they could have had a one-on-one tiebreaker to move on to the next. Oh, and you know what I didn't like, boy. I had the sound down and I couldn't stand Pat McAfee screaming. Oh my God, at the very beginning, you probably wouldn't have seen it.
I missed that part, yeah.
Oh, it was him just
Not
like
good.
all muscled out, like, and he was all red-faced and like they were too close up, and he was like the, I don't know, master of ceremonies or something at the beginning, and somebody blue-skied like, why is Pat McAfee screaming at me? And I was like, dude, the sound is down and he's screaming at me. Like, it was so bad.
He's now like the face of ESPN, basically.
Yeah.
He and Stephen A. Smith, I guess, right? Because it's
so,
like
yeah.
they're the two biggest contracts there. The other thing that happened at the very end that did make it into my YouTube version of this, which I don't even know what was happening, but it just made me, it snapped me back into feeling like the world is a worse place again, which was Cal's there with his family, and it's super cute. He's there, with his dad and his brother, and being interviewed by the childlike wonder that is Jeff Passan. And then there's just like a guy who I have to assume is a pro wrestler, has got this like pro wrestling belt, but it's the home run derby belt.
Yeah, I did not
And
like
he's
that
like
belt.
got this jet blonde hair and these neck tattoos, and he's wearing a suit. I don't know anything about this guy, but I'm guessing he's a WWE wrestler. He just looked, and he's got a wrestling belt. And I will give this guy credit on this level. He was trying to wait for the right moment. Somebody said, "You got to go give Cal the champion belt." He was trying to not interrupt the moment, which I give him credit for. Like, he didn't just like barge in there and like start yelling and doing kayfabe or something.
Yes.
He was kind of trying to be respectful, but he also was under direct orders to at some point get this stupid fucking belt. I can say that because we're after 2 hours.
Yes.
After 2 hours, we can do whatever we
That's
want.
right.
Like, he was under orders to give this the WWE-ified home run derby belt to Cal Raleigh. And my theory is it's because ESPN or Disney or somebody has some kind of pro wrestling thing going on, and this is related to that. In other words, this is vertical integration of their content, where somebody thought, okay, we want to get people watching Smashdown, and so what we're going to do is the winner of the home run derby, they're going to get a belt, like, and then we're going to have
ugly and so stupid and so not baseball.
and we're going to have, Lex we're gonna have Lex Lightning give the belt out, the current WWE, whatever. You know what I mean? Just like it made me so annoyed because I was like, just out of here with that shit. I'm trying to enjoy a moment with Cal Raleigh and his dad. This is baseball. Don't like try to vertically integrate your wrestling here, please.
I couldn't agree more, but you're going to love this, and what a way to go out. Let me tell you all the ways you were right. Well, you weren't right about, I liked your wrestler name better. What did you just call him?
I think I named him Lex Lightning.
Yeah, I like Lex Lightning. His name is actually Cody Rhodes. He is with the...
Probably has good politics.
Where's my bell? Cody Rhodes. So you didn't get that, but WWE, absolutely,
right.
where he performs on the SmackDown. I don't even know what that means. You called it the SmackDown.
I think I called it the SmackDown.
That's okay, but we knew
I
what
actually
you were
knew
talking
it was
about.
SmackDown. I don't know why. I knew it was SmackDown, and yet for some reason I chose to say the wrong
It's
one.
funnier. And he is the incumbent King of the Ring, which we all knew that.
He's the
right?
King
Yeah.
of the Ring.
He
God,
certainly is.
With great power comes great responsibility, Cody Rhodes. Heavy weighs the crown.
Okay, let me ask you one last question, but I'm going to get the music going. So is this the first home run derby won by a Mariner since Junior? Back in the 80s? Or in the 90s, rather? Sorry.
I think so. I was surprised to hear you say that Julio even had a record for maybe most within a session or something, like within a round. It's been a long time
on that, but for some reason I feel like it's so embarrassing how little I remember about the home run derby I was actually at. But I feel like Julio just crushed the first round and then was immediately eliminated in the second round.
Which is ironic because it's the exact opposite of how the seasons go.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
But it's always fun to get the W. I'm excited to watch tonight, too. It was also so cute to see Brian Wu and Arozarena. So Arozarena took Julio's spot, I guess. Is that how that works?
Arozarena.
I know,
yes,
sorry.
Julio basically...
V-dub. I'm just going to call him V-dub.
I was going to say that. Julio was, he was just chosen. A lot of people thought he shouldn't have been, including Mariners fans, which is kind of weird.
But does he get to give his spot to Arozarena?
I guess so. So he said, no, I'm just going to concentrate on...
So he could have given it to me if you wanted to?
I don't know how it gets
bestow
transferred, but it's pretty sweet, actually. I'm excited. I don't think I'm going to be able to see the game tonight, unfortunately, but I'm actually really glad. I'm kind of happy that Arozarena's in there instead of Julio, to be honest with you.
Well, he's been playing really well lately.
Yeah.
To see Brian Wu and Arozarena and Cal all there, just kind of like being teammates for each other, and how stoked Brian Wu was for Cal Raleigh. Like, it really made me really, really excited. So
those are three very likable players, I think.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Andrew, I think we've done it again. I think we've managed to whittle this thing down to just two listeners, you and I. And let's be honest, we're only half listening. So it's one listener between the two of us.
You ready to record now? Okay, was this the sound check?
In
We good
3,
now?
2, and well, if anybody is still hearing this, we come to you from planet Earth. We are a peaceful people. The Earth has become very hot, and it's unlivable. So please, come save us. No, if you're still listening, thank you for listening. We will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, have a great Tuesday. Take care of yourselves, and please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.